Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Ring Post Radio. I am your host, the voice of the tasteless Ryan Knightsey, and with me, as always, is Ultimo Scotty Edwards. Scotty, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. I'm happy you caught on. Shout out Stuka Jr. and Ultimo Guerrero. I'm just gonna give a warning now.
Uh-oh. Oh, no.
This is probably going to have my most critiques and complaints of any Ring Post Radio episode ever. So I'm just letting the world know now.
Okay.
Because it's not going to be all shiny rainbows this week like I wanted it to be.
I'm both fascinated and terrified because I don't know your takes. And I feel like I understand where you're coming from because I also feel like I'm coming in with like very specific thoughts. Like we have a loaded show today. We are reviewing like a billion shows and previewing like a billion shows. And at the same time, like we only have like really quote unquote 2 hours for Ring Post Radio. But it's like I was thinking about it before we started. It was like there's some things where I want to go match by match, and there's other stuff that's just more of like we just sort of talk generally, like because a lot of this weekend of wrestling was, I think, a fascinating look to see of like the state of pro wrestling right now in a weird way. I don't know if you agree with this, Scotty, but like we saw New Japan, TNA, WWE. We saw obviously AEW television. We saw RevPro this past weekend. All Japan.
That like,
we saw the state of Japan. We saw the state of Japan, the state of Europe, the state of America, and all its various.
We saw like every major men's promotion, or like every major promotion, essentially, in a big show setting.
Yeah.
And somehow, outside of AEW and obviously like Stardom didn't run a show, but like we got a taste of everything, and I think that's makes this a very interesting show.
And I also don't think, I was telling Jesse about this because Jesse was out of the house for the weekend and came back, and I was telling her when I picked her up for the airport that this idea of like, she was like, "Oh, what'd you do?" I was like, "I watched a lot of wrestling." She's like, "How was it?" I was like, "I don't know, mostly fine."
Yeah, it wasn't great.
I think I gave one 4+ star match this entire like 30, 40 something odd matches I watched.
I know I did. That's it.
It's going to be a lot of like discussion, I think, today. So I think today's going to be a really good episode. Obviously, we're talking about TNA No Surrender, New Japan New Beginning of Sapporo, Night 1 and Night 2, WWE Elimination Chamber in Perth, the All Japan show. I don't know if you watched the All Japan show this morning. I did not. So we'll just talk about the 220 and the 221, I think it was. We're going to talk about RevPro High Stakes. We weren't going to put it on the board, but guess what? They had a great match in there. So we got to talk about that. We're going to preview AEW Revolution for next week. We're going to preview a bet that I lost. And we're going to talk about the Observer Awards came out this week as well. So we'll talk about the Category A.
We should probably close with AEW or like put that towards the end at least, because
it's going to get through everything else. Of time. That's fair. That's fair. Well then, let's talk of the Observer Awards, because that's sort of more of like a last year thing. So I think that'd be a good way to sort of start before we go from last year to this weekend. And I guess everything else around that. What do you say, Scotty?
I say you're the host. You lead the way.
Fair enough. Okay, so we're only going to talk about the category A's here, just because time as well. But we'll talk about that. So category A awards, the Lou Thez Ric Flair Award. This is the Wrestler of the Year, not necessarily in ring, but overall. Top 10 are tied at number 10, Jon Moxley, Tam Nakano. Number 9, Kento Miyahara. Number 8, Kazuchika Okada. Number 7, Seth Rollins. Number 6, Mystico. 5, Bryan Danielson. 4, Roman Reigns. 3, MJF. 2, Cody Rhodes. And number 1, the winner of the Lou Thez Ric Flair Award, Will Ospreay, getting 302 first place votes, and overall 1,800 points, I guess would be the word.
3 and 4 is crazy to me, but okay.
Wait, who at what?
MJF and Roman. Like, I understand, like, their roles last year.
Roman, especially. We had this conversation when we were talking about the words. Roman, especially.
Like, Roman barely wrestled, but like, I get when he was around, he was important. But there's a conversation to be had that like MJF kind of almost nearly sunk his company.
He got it. He definitely. I wouldn't say sunk it. He definitely lowered the bar quite.
It got pretty bad.
Pretty bad.
We were breaking glass in case AEW bad, and now look where AEW is now. It got really bad.
Yeah.
Freakazoid anymore.
Yeah, the Freakazoids, aka me, the Freakazoid thermostat over here was all like, I don't know, guys. I don't know about this one.
It might be over.
Bryan Danielson got number 5. I would have liked him to be higher, personally.
Yeah.
We talked about this before, where I thought Bryan Danielson had an outstanding year.
Maybe. When I did vote, and I know you did as well. I wish I had my ballot up, but I think he was at least number 2 or 3 for me. Yeah,
he was up there for me as well. I liked Mystico also being up here. I thought that was a really good spot there for Mystico.
Yeah. You think it's just a gimmick. No. The Lucha King. The Lucha King runs supreme, and as he should be. Well, because this is taking into account like tickets and draw, not just matches. And obviously, like Mystico is the king of that. Which he was one of my votes.
Perfect. Oh, perfect. We got it up. You got it up. Yeah, so that's Luthez, Ric Flair. I don't really have any other thoughts beyond that. Okada was down. That's fine. I'm okay with Okada being number 8. Tam Nakano being
the highest. Laugh out of Tam and John Moxley being tied. Just the wording of that made me laugh.
Yeah. Honorable mentions as well. Orange Cassidy, Kenny Omega, and CM Punk were the
Orange Cassidy, CM Punk, Kenny Omega.
Kenny Omega had some good work, but like he
had good work. That's what the other awards are.
Yeah, that's fair. I wouldn't be surprised if Kenny Omega is higher in the other awards. Mixed martial arts most valuable. Who cares?
I don't care about that.
Most outstanding wrestler. Number 10, Mike Bailey. Number 9, Orange Cassidy. Number 8, Shingo Takagi. Number 7, Kazuchika Okada. Number 6, Gunther, the highest WWE guy here. Number 5, Kento Miyahara. Number 4, Zack Sabre Jr. Number 3, Kenny Omega. Number 2, Bryan Danielson. Number 1, Will Ospreay. I mean, obviously, again, this is Will Ospreay's 3rd time winning the most outstanding wrestler award, getting it in 2019, 2022. And I believe, if I recall correctly, this is not his. Let me double check. I think this is not his first Luthez Ric Flair award. It might be his first, but I'll double check.
It is his first.
Okay. Let me pull up the history. I should probably have that as well. But yeah, any thoughts on the most outstanding award, outstanding wrestler award? I don't think highest WWE is Gunther, highest TNA is Mike Bailey, Will Ospreay up there, highest AEW is Bryan Danielson, with Kenny Omega right behind, Kento Miyahara out of Japan.
Mike Bailey.
Kento Miyahara, honestly, higher than Okada is also, I think, is kind of interesting.
Kento is one of my votes. So again, hit the Mystico post.
I think do we have a music stinger for Mystico?
No, we don't. We will. Don't worry, we will. But no, this all makes sense to me again. I thought it should have been down to Ospreay and Danielson. I expected it to be there, so it makes all the sense that it ended up being that.
Yeah, Ospreay is like such a easy, obvious answer for that to be. Bryan Danielson, we talked about a lot when we talked about this sort of like preview of these awards, of this idea of like Danielson had such like a weirdly great, underrated year despite being like super injured the entire time. So totally worth it. I like Kento Miyahara being up here. I like Shingo also being on the list. Honorable mentions: John Moxley, MJF, Seth Rollins, Eddie Kingston. It's fun seeing MJF being like up at most outstanding wrestler. In ring, he had a pretty decent year, I gotta say. That was for the most part a pretty decent year. It's just everything else surrounding that. I don't agree. I don't agree with here.
Yeah.
Most outstanding fighter. Who cares? Tag team of the year. Tag team of the year number 10, the Acclaim. Number 9, Jun Ray Saito, the Saito brothers. Number 8, the Usos. Number 7, Catch 22. Number 6, Aussie Open. Number 5, the Young Bucks. Number 4,
What?
What's that?
Did they wrestle last year? They took a lot of the year off, feels like.
They wrestled FTR at All In,
which was a letdown.
They wrestled Blood and Guts, but in a multi-man sort of thing. What else? I can't remember
You've
a single
my point.
match.
They
got number 5. Number 4, the Astronauts, Takuya Nomura and Fuminori Abe. Number 3, Hiroki Goto and Yoshihashi. Number 2, Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. Number 1, FTR. Disagree with FTR winning this year. I don't really think FTR had a great year last year. I guess I can see the argument of FTR being the best AEW tag team, but I don't necessarily think the tag team division AEW right now is too hot. Owens and Zayn makes sense, but they weren't around. Owens and Zayn is mostly also from the end of 2022, kind of more really.
They weren't together until the beginning of 2023.
Yeah.
But they weren't. But they didn't last until the end of the year. But they probably had more matches, truthfully, than like the Young Bucks.
Mm-hmm.
So balancing act here.
Oh, can I look that up? Can I look up that info?
Tag team wrestling, as we talked about privately this week, not in a good spot.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't feel like it is, right? There was a quote from Alex Shelley that talked about this, that we sort of talked about privately, about this idea of tag team wrestling right now not being a good spot. And he talked about how a lot of the top tag team teams right now are all like 40 plus guys. Where like, and he's like, we're not really helping the next generation, or there is new. He's like, back 20 years ago, it was, Young Bucks, Motor City Machine Guns, guys that are still around and still doing the thing. But then there's who are the young tag teams right now? We sort of talked about this of like, if you look at AEW, even it's like, last year I don't think it was that great, and this year it's, I don't know. I'm not sure about the tag team division right now. I'm not completely jazzed by it.
Who do you think's the best tag team in the world right now?
Right now,
at this very moment.
I would. There's not a lot of like tag team matches I feel like have really been happened this year so far.
No, tag team wrestling has mostly been poor this year.
I can't even think of like a standout tag team match this year so far. I don't know. FTR has been fun, but they've also been mixing up with Daniel Garcia, so there's like that aspect. Like I enjoyed the steel cage elimination match with House of Black. What they're doing with BCC right now interests me as well, but they're not over the moon great as a tag team specifically. Like the best match to me right now is the steel cage match, which is a 6-man. So pure tag team wrestling, it's not completely there for me. Other than that,
as I said to you,
list.
When I watch tag team wrestling now, I am more often than not left saying I miss the Briscoes.
Yeah. I haven't watched it yet. I think. Did I watch it? I don't recall if I watched it. That tag team match from Stardom last week.
That was real.
Yeah, that was real. I know that was great. I haven't gotten a chance to catch up and watch that yet, but I've heard that was great. But a one-off tag team match is not really tag team of the year worthy, right?
Respect Wing Gory, bud. A little more respect on that. Thank you. No, but my point is that there was no immediate answer, right? Yeah. Like there's no instant answer that's appropriate for this question, and I think that kind of defines the state of tag team wrestling right now. And hopefully, there's teams that can find themselves in the mix by the end of the year. Listen, the good news for like an AEW, even though it hasn't been like all positive and rainbows, is that Private Party is getting back to their thing. Top Flight's getting back to their thing. Like, you're looking at all these young tag teams that have to start piecing it together, right? And that's kind of where I'm at with those two, as like hopefully by the end of the year, one of them is really standing out. I just realized I don't have a light on, so I'll be right back.
Scotty mentioned the Young Bucks versus the Owens and Zayn team. Owens and Zayn, I don't have any tag team specific matches, but when they teamed together in matches, they had 21. And for the same qualifications, the Young Bucks had 23. So the Young Bucks just a little bit more. Sorry, not 23, 26. So they wrestled just a little bit more. I don't know how many of these are straight tag team matches per se. I feel like the Young Bucks had just had a lot more trio stuff, I feel like. But, that's because they had the AEW World Trios title. I think if I recall correctly, I feel like I put the Elite potentially as a tag team of the year contender. I definitely voted as like tag team of the year. And I like that they got the an honorable mention. Some honorable mentions were Kento Miyahara, Yuma Aoyagi, Natsupoi and Sayori Anou, Jay White and Juice Robinson. I remember voting on these guys: Okada, Tanahashi, and Ishii as a tag team of the year contender. Priest and Balor, and obviously Adam Cole and MJF.
And again, as we talked about at length, last year was more about trios wrestling than tag team.
Yeah, you stepped away, but this idea of the Young Bucks did a lot more trios wrestling last year, but they had more matches that they were in teaming together than Owens and Zayn.
Sure.
But a lot of them are trios as well. I mean, Owens and Zayn also had some trios and multi-man matches, of course. But yeah, that's what it is. I like seeing the Saito brothers up here. That's always fun to see. Catch 2-2, getting some respect. I like to see that too. And yeah, the honorable mention of Okada, Tanahashi, and Ishii, I talked about this last year, is that they potentially were the best trios team, or in my opinion, I think they were the best trios team of 2023.
Yeah, I'd have to agree.
Best on interviews, number 10, Don Callis, number 9, LA Knight, number 8, Punk.
Why is Don Callis voted?
Well, it's promos, right? It's promos.
Not top 10 in promos.
Is he? Oh yeah, you're not gonna like this.
He's cut the same promo for like 7 months now.
Yeah, you can question the Don Callis is better than when I get to the honorable mentions. But number 8, CM Punk. Number 7, Will Ospreay. Number 6, Bryan Danielson. Number 5, Cody Rhodes. Number 4, Jon Moxley. Number 3, Christian Cage. Number 2, MJF. Number 1, Eddie Kingston. I really enjoy seeing Eddie Kingston here.
Eddie was my number 1 pick.
Eddie Kingston previously won this in 2020, and then MJF won it 2021, 2022. Eddie Kingston winning it again here today.
Was MJF on this list? Sorry.
Yes, he was number 2. It was very close. Eddie Kingston got 1483 was his point total. MJF 1441. It was a 4-point difference. But Eddie Kingston had way more first place votes at 199 versus MJF's 140.
Good.
So that is still very close despite that. So I guess to me that means is that MJF was probably on more ballots as like a second and third place vote. But Eddie Kingston just had so many first place votes that it really helped him out here.
Yep, for sure.
This list also makes sense to me. You don't like Don Callis. Is he better than these honorable mentions? Samoa Joe.
Oh, God. That's the one.
Don Callis beat Samoa Joe.
I would argue
8 points.
I would argue, like, if Samoa Joe had a complete year of being on TV, he would easily be number 1.
And I think that's part of it. I think that's certainly part of it.
But Don, no, he had enough, because you can only vote top 3, which means multiple people put Don Callis in their top 3.
At least 14 people put them at number 1. Scotty, in anger, has attacked his microphone.
Come on, man. What the frick?
Is Don Callis better than Samoa Joe? Is he better than Sami Zayn? Is he better than Zack Sabre Jr., Jay White, Paul Heyman, and Ricky Starks?
No. The answer is no. I would argue all of those people are better than him on the mic.
Yeah. I mean, this is the year he turns heel.
Wait, did you say Zach?
Yes, Zack Sabre
That's
Jr.
hilarious. That's
was
awesome.
is Samoa Joe, Sami Zayn, Zack Sabre Jr. with 90 points, Jay White 77, Paul Heyman 65, Ricky Starks 63. Yeah, I don't recall a single promo from Zack Sabre Jr.
No, I don't either. That's why I was in such shock.
It's a tough part about New Japan is that all the promos, they're all the backstage comments. So it's just a talk about like how good their backstage comments are, basically.
Yeah.
Which is fine. I mean, he always has fun ones. Promotion of the year. I like to point out that these are all a diverse pool of voters. So does this track with what I've previously been saying of the winners? No. Promotion of the year, WWE was number one. I know I've been doing reverse order, and now I'm doing proper order. WWE was number one, 406 first place votes. AEW number two, New Japan 3, 4 CMLL, 5 UFC, 6 All Japan, 7 Stardom, 8 Impact, 9 Dragon Gate. WWE, far and away the favorite promotion of the year. Thoughts on that one? I think that's the big shocker. I saw a stat that said, you'll like this stat possibly. WWE, this is the first time winning the promotion of the year category since the year 2000, where they were still named World Wrestling Federation. So this is officially the first year where WWE has won promotion of the year under the name World Wrestling Entertainment.
That's incredible.
That's an insane stat. 23 years.
But for me, it's hard to argue them last year. Because, like, when they were doing their thing, we were all sitting here complaining that AEW was not AEW anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, they couldn't win. It was a bad year for them. Like, out of AEW's history, I'd put last year towards the bottom, certainly, comfortably, and I think that's okay. Like, I just, obviously, like, recent news and recent happenings, you wouldn't want to vote for WWE now, but them winning for 2023 makes plenty of sense, and it's probably the right choice.
And I think part of that, kind of what you're alluding to, is this idea of, because like AEW was down, because like New Japan was down, like there was an opening for WWE to slide through finally.
Yep.
Because so many people that are like AEW diehards are like, well, I'm not putting AEW as number one. I'm not going to put New Japan as number one.
Right.
Which created this opening for WWE to slip through the cracks and be like, well, they had a great year. They had ginormous ticket sales and yada, yada, yada. And even then, I would say, like, personally, I don't think the in-ring was totally great compared to other companies. They certainly made a lot of money, but it was also a very, like,
their in-ring is better.
Certainly better. But it was also a very, like, tumultuous year for WWE as well, because this was the year with, Vince McMahon in and out of the company, figuring out the creative and whatever was happening with that. The creative sliding back between Vince McMahon and Triple H. Paul Levesque. So there's a lot of tumultuous stuff happening behind the scenes, obviously, as well with WWE, and they were still able to get a promotion of the year here. So I guess good on them. I like seeing CMLL being fourth is always nice. All Japan, Stardom, Impact, and Dragon Gate all down ballot. That's all fine. I think I'm fine with that order as well.
I thought
Stardom
higher.
Say it again.
I thought CMLL should have been higher.
At number 4, higher than New Japan? Yeah, I agree.
I'd CMLL. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I thought they did great. Like, they had a great year. I'm happy they had that recognition at least. Like, that's still top 5, and that's in many ways, like, to who they lost to is expected, and I think that's pretty good. That makes sense.
And I think what's part of it is that, like, in a weird way, like, because these are observer voters, obviously voting on these categories, observer readers, I should say, voting on these categories. And the readership of the Observer follows both obviously American wrestling and also easily number 2 is Japanese wrestling,
right?
Or more specifically New Japan. And then, like, it feels like culturally, in terms of diehard wrestling fans, like Mexico is like there, but also like it's very easy for Mexico to go by the wayside for a lot of people. Like CMLL, how much let's be like this is my point. I'm going to praise Lucha Blog. How much of CMLL are we talking about week to week discussing? If like Lucha Blog wasn't putting in the work and uploading this Google Drive where you can watch all this stuff and doing all these things, like how much, because CMLL doesn't have, American television in a way that New Japan does. CMLL doesn't have even the easiest navigatable way to watch their product if you live in America. Whereas New Japan obviously has way easier. Even All Japan has easier. CMLL, like Mexico, and that's just CMLL we're talking about. AAA is a whole nother beast.
Yeah,
of
a bad one.
a bad beast, if you will. So it's just like Mexico is like a very hard thing to cover. And like in a weird way, I kind of praise Lucha Blog because it is like how hard it is to cover modern Mexico right now if it isn't through that guy.
Yeah.
So weird praise. I turned into weird praise for him. Best weekly TV show, number 10, We Are Stardom. Number 9, Impact Wrestling. Number 8, New Japan on Access. Number 7, Rampage. 6, Raw. 5, NXT. 4, Eat Your Heart Out, Triple H. Number 4, CMLL, Super Viernes. Number 3, SmackDown. Number 2, Collision. Number 1, Dynamite.
I wish I thought of Super Viernes as a TV show. I didn't in my brain because I would have easily voted for that. Collision got my top vote.
Oh, really? Okay. Yeah. Collision. This is the quote unquote CM Punk Collision years. 20. Like I really enjoying 2024 Collision.
Months?
What's that?
How many months did that actually last for though? 3?
I don't know, 3-4 months.
Yeah.
But it was near the end of the year. That's what I mean. Is the Collision didn't happen until when did it?
Summer, I think.
Summer. So it only had like a latter half of the year for sure. And then it had a little bit of like figuring out what is happening. And I think Collision figured itself out in the latter half of the year. I think the Continental Classic helped out a lot. And I think in the new year, Collision's been a great television show as well. I haven't watched the last night show yet, but I've heard great things about it. I also agree. Super Viernes. I don't recall if I remember that voting on that, but that is a great shout out to put Super Viernes on here. WWE in order: SmackDown, NXT, and Raw. I love Raw. Still never be able to get up here on the list despite everything. Dynamite, of course, has won it every year in existence for Dynamite. So good to them. Pro Wrestling Match of the Year, number 10, Gunther, Sheamus, Drew McIntyre, WrestleMania. The Queen's Quest versus Oedo Tai Steel Cage match. Number 8, Ospreay versus Naito. Number 7, Nakajima versus Miyahara. At One Night Dream. Number 6, Danielson versus Zack Sabre Jr. Number 5, FTR versus White and Robinson. Speaking of Collision. Number 4, Swerve Strickland versus Adam Page. Number 3, MJF versus Danielson in Revolution. Number 2, Omega Ospreay at Forbidden Door. Number 1, Omega Ospreay at Wrestle Kingdom.
FTR versus Jay White and Juice got 4.
5.
Oh, that doesn't.
They got 5 first place votes, and they had 1 more point than Danielson, Zack Sabre Jr.
I did not have that match anywhere near match of the year contender.
I don't think it was in my top 10.
I remember liking it, but I do not remember having it anywhere close to my top 10. I'm happy the better Kenny and Will Ospreay match won.
The Wrestle Kingdom one?
Yes, I've firmly believed that is the better one, and I will continue to believe that is the better one. I will not be denied, and I was not denied. I win! You know who ruined the second one? Don Callis.
Number 10th in best interviews? Don Callis? And that was our last category A. Other note here was Will Ospreay. This was his 3rd match of the year award, and this was Kenny Omega's 1, 2, 3, 4th match of the year award here. There's a bunch of other also category B awards. Cody Rhodes won, Ospreay won, Mystico won, Ospreay won Europe, Vikingo won non-heavyweight, Rhea Ripley won women's, Box office draw, no one votes. Who cares? Feud of the year: Owens and Zayn versus the Bloodline. Most improved: Julia Hart. Charismatic: MJF. Technical award: hey, guess what? Bryan Danielson won it. Bruiser award: Moxley won it again. Vikingo won High Flyer. Overrated, overpushed, I should say. Sonata, underrated, underpushed. Chad Gable, Rookie of the Year. Yuma Anzai, best non-wrestler.
I
Don
voted
Callis.
for overpushed.
Best non-wrestler, Don Callis. Continue.
Who I voted for overpushed?
Who was that?
MJF.
I agree. He was up there too. I don't have it. I just clicked off, but he was up there as well.
MJF ruined my viewing of AEW way more than Sonata ruined my viewing of New Japan.
I think that's fair. I think that's
wasn't
fair.
even close, actually, in that respect. But
Some of the worst awards, like worst television announcer, went to Booker T. Worst major.
Can you dig that, sucker?
Worst pay-per-view, Crown Jewel. WWE wins it every year straight since 2016. Worst television show was NWA Power. Broke the streak of Monday Night Raw.
That's a big day for you. I know you're a big fan of that show.
We'll get to them. We'll get to them. Worst match: Bray Wyatt versus LA Knight. I believe this is his 5th worst match. This is the Mountain Dew Pitch Black match.
That's so nasty.
Yeah. Worst feud of the year: MJF versus the Devil. Worst promotion of the year: NWA. Also broke a streak for WWE. They're like rock and roll, you know. They're like rock and roll. You got to understand.
I'm pretty confident what's gonna get worst match this year.
Worst that's plausible. Worst gimmick: the Devil. And I think that's all the worst awards there. So that's the Observer Awards, folks. I don't know. I think it's fine. A lot of people are upset online about various things, but most of the upset people are like,
no, people are upset. That's crazy.
I think a lot of there's people who are generally upset about different specific awards, and then there's another faction of people upset being like, "Oh, why did Dave choose this guy?" Or
that's the best. That's
or
favorite.
like, yeah, why? How did WWE get best promotion of the year and then have worse yada yada yadas over and over again? It's like because there's different voters. Dave is, if anything, Dave is one vote, you know, one ballot versus I don't know. Alvarez tweeted out basically it was like 30,000 potential ballots. Yeah, it's that's what it is, folks. Let's move on to New Japan New Beginning in Sapporo. Let's start with New Japan New Beginning in Sapporo. They had a weekend of shows here, obviously, in Sapporo. Shocking. The first night, 3,200 in the Hokkaido Prefectural Sports Center. Second night, 5,300 with that world title on top. How do you want to start this? I don't really want to go match by match per se. I think there's more of like general ideas with what's happening. So where do you want to kind of start this conversation of New Beginning in Sapporo and New Japan in general?
Well, we'll start with day one. I have many thoughts about day one.
Let's start with there's so many 3 title changes on day one.
Yeah. I wish we had the Most Wanted music. Da-na-na!
What's the lady at the beginning of the Most Wanted mission? What is she saying?
I'm not making that noise. I'm not doing that.
I don't want that.
No.
Well, you're not saving that soundbite.
No. We are now. But anytime we talk about Nick Nemeth, we're gonna have that now. Thank you.
Oh my God, is that Nick Nemeth?
Holy bleeping hell, is that Nick Nemeth?
But yeah, 3 title changes. Nick Nemeth wins the IWGP Global Heavyweight title.
Yeah.
Matt Riddle defeats Tanahashi to win the New Japan World TV title. And then Sho defeats El Desperado to win the IWGP Junior Heavyweight title, avoiding to June the now defunct Strong Style.
Capital OOF. Oof.
Yeah, that's the Sho more like oof. Am I right? Am I right, folks?
Can I get a oof? Can I get a oof? This show, man. Listen, I had all the confidence that a 10-minute Mayu and Mina match would be better than most of the show.
And they got
Then I
12.
watched, and then I watched the rest of the show. And I said, "Oh wow, it wasn't close. They didn't even have competition on this show. This show's bad. Like this show was bad. Like
It wasn't great.
bad. Like bad."
Guys, folks, I think Scotty thinks it's bad.
guys, this show. Oh my god! Like, listen, I don't think the world is falling like everyone else does with New Japan. Like, I just think this is the period that we're in. Like, it's gonna be, there's gonna be hits, there's gonna be misses,
Mhm.
and I think that's okay. Like, I think that's part of growing. But my god, this show did not help me. Can you shut up, dog? My show did not help me. I'm trying to prove a point here. God,
It's the War Dogs over there.
God, thank God it wasn't. But David Finlay couldn't be more finished. This dude stinks. Capital S stinks. I watched the Raw main eventer wrestle circles around this guy. Nick Nemeth bumped his ass off for this guy, and it didn't work. It just didn't work. The best part of this match was when Nick Nemeth won. He hit that 101 and then the danger zone, and it was over.
Yeah.
101's being the super kick. I think it's a very funny name that Walker Stewart said. He said it's because he takes them to school, and I said that's very funny.
Oh, Nick, never change. Yeah, I don't know. I agree.
I'm handling my dog. Give me 1 second.
No worries. I agree with the idea of David Finlay. I've never been on the David Finlay train, folks. You know this. Longtime listeners know this. Never been on the David Finlay train. He literally changed his style in what was it, the Cup last year. And it was just like from the get-go, I was like, I don't like this guy. This guy is Jay White Light. Jay Light, if you will. And he has only become more Jay White Light since then. And like this match wasn't good. There were parts in it where I didn't quite enjoy Nick Nemeth's performance, but I understand what he was trying to do. And I think by the end, he was able to get the crown in. I would be more interested to see his next singles match defense in Japan.
Yeah, I want to see him wrestle someone good.
Yeah, I would have loved if this match was like in the Korakuen Hall. I think his performance would have gotten across better.
Yeah.
And
Sapporo
also
had an awful crowd.
Also in their defense, as I was going to say, like Korakuen Hall would have been maybe a better match, but also this is the fourth match in a series of really poor matches. So I don't blame the crowd if they're not interested. But David Finlay, Jay White Light just continues, and now you have this idea of, we talked about a little bit of like a New Japan Cup idea. We'll probably talk about it more next week. Does he go on and get far in the New Japan Cup? Is he going to turn things around in there? I don't know. It is. I've never been on the train of David Finlay, and
They're not going to stop the push, but they should. Like, I don't care if you don't have any other options right now. Mm-hmm. He's not it. He's not it. He could be a fine mid-carder that challenges for like the Never and things like that. But he is not a world title contender, and he's never going to be. He's not going to get better. This is it. This is it. And man, it's worrying. It's worrying. I'm just happy Nick Nemeth is champion. I'm not gonna lie to you. Like, he had so much fun. I watched the tag match on the second night, and I was like with Taguchi, and I was like, this is great. Like, I'm having a great time watching these two.
And I also liked his performance, his wrestling in there. He went like more amateur wrestling style, which is interesting.
He did, which I think is going to benefit him when he wrestles like the Tanahashis of the world and more. Like for his first, I want to give him some credit here. He also had to wrestle David Finlay in his first New Japan match. It's not like that's like, he didn't get given Okada or something like that. No. So it's not like it was going to be. It was never going to be a home run.
Sure.
And I liked this the most out of the 4-match stretch that was awful. But what's that to say about the other 3 matches? Nothing good.
He does the next night. Nick Nemeth challenged Tanahashi. Tanahashi accepts. I am going
to an Impact spoiler.
I do know the Impact spoiler.
We're gonna spoil it.
He is also challenged by Steve Macklin.
And they're doing a sacrifice. It's the title that goes places or whatever. Remember?
Yes, Chain Fiesta, the title that goes places.
The title that goes through the world, not the world title where the world comes to the belt or something.
I don't know when the Tanahashi match is yet. Could be New Japan Cup Finals night. But also,
when's it? Can they do the anniversary? No.
They could. That's up to Nick Nemeth's schedule probably.
Tana's
probably available. So, well, Tana's also injured. That's also part of it. He gets injured in his match with Matt Riddle.
Sacrifice is the 8th. When's the anniversary? The 6th.
Yes.
I'm gonna say that's not happening.
He could if he really tried, but I don't expect it. I'm more expecting New Japan Cup Finals, or I'm really expecting Windy City Riot for the Tanahashi match.
I really hope it's before that.
Yeah, me too. Other title changes were Matt Riddle defeating Tanahashi and Sho defeating Desperado. The Sho Desperado match sucked. The Riddle Tanahashi match, it's a thing of like Riddle can still like wrestle, but like I don't have any interest in Riddle right now. And seeing him beat Tanahashi, who ends up getting injured, is just like no.
Sho Desperado was so bad. Like one of the worst matches of the year, comfortably. It can't even be like, oh, it's just House of Torture stuff. Like Despy didn't even have a good night. Like it was a bad night for him.
And I don't blame him. The finish was a count out.
Yeah.
He lost the title on a count out. That is it feels like a burial of El Desperado in terms of the booking. That's what it felt.
I don't feel that way. It felt more like we don't want Sho to get a pinfall. Which is not good for a new champion, in my opinion, as I've seen this in Stardom a year ago with a count out title win. It just doesn't work. And the worst part is that this is the anniversary match.
Yes, the anniversary match is now Sho versus Naito, which then plays up the idea of we might be going to Naito Evil next after Sonata. But what's the actual next thing? New Japan Cup? I don't know, folks.
Oh boy.
I have a sneaking suspicion that Evil may be winning the New Japan
Cup. By the way, Matt Riddle sucks.
Yeah. Tanahashi's also washed. He did his best.
I don't want to hear.
No,
it.
he is.
He's not Tanahashi. But listen, I watched Tanahashi and Zack Sabre Jr. have the same length of a match at Wrestle Kingdom, and it was so much better than this. So
that's fair. I will agree with that. But I don't think that's on Tanahashi. I think that's on the dance partner.
I think it's on Tanahashi because he has to be able to move.
Yes, I guess
Tanahashi also can't move some days.
To be fair, he also gets injured, hurts his leg during the match. So there's also that.
Tana's done. And
I also thought Evo versus Shota Umino sucked. I thought that was boring as all hell. Fully not into that match.
Yeah, it was not good.
Mayu Iwatani versus Mina Shirakawa. I thought this was the best match of the 5-match period. I gave 1 3.25 on this.
Doubt. Comfortably. It's funny because I left the match and I was like, they'd have a great match if Mina could wrestle longer because that's her style, like the way she works a match. And I was like, it's still good. It was still good. It did a good job. Got a point across. Then I watched the rest of the show.
I'm actually re-looking at my match ratings. This was my match of the night: Mina Shirakawa versus Mayu Iwatani.
Oh yeah. There wasn't much competition, to be fair.
And Yuji Nagata versus Zack Sabre Jr. Open, I thought was fine. Nothing too.
I was very underwhelmed, but that's because they got like 7 seconds.
Yeah, I guess 8 minutes. Was I expecting maybe like a Danielson Nagata? Maybe. That's kind of what I was hoping for, but it ended up just being the opener at 8 minutes, so it wasn't that. We'll transition as well here, I think, to the night 2 Kazuchika Okada tag team matches.
Okada bye-bye.
Man.
Last love.
Because that broke my brain. Kazuchika Okada bye-bye tour. Okada for night 1 pins Callum Newman. Great O'Khan kind of stares him down, and Okada kind of just ignores him. Night 2
absolutely tooled that man.
Night 2 also pins Callum Newman, but has just more fun with his Chaos teammates here. Any thoughts on the whole Okada of it all?
I'm gonna miss him in New Japan,
Mhm.
but I think I we talked about this the other day.
Yeah.
The
You want me to
discourse
break
around
this up?
Okada leaving
I don't
is
care.
so ridiculous. Like, who cares? Like, I don't know, man. Like, unless you wanted to ruin everything you were building, how are you gonna have him put someone over? And even so, like, I watched a certain match on night 2, and I was like, nah, he shouldn't be putting these guys over. I was like, it's not great. I think Okada getting to have fun with his friends on his way out, that was a nice end. Like, I didn't have a problem with it when it was all said and done. And like the way him and Naito wrapped it up, I thought was actually perfect. So
Yeah, I mentioned I texted this to you as well. I was like, be completely honest, I do not care about the Okada leaving discourse anymore. It is so beyond the pale of, and I think it's now uh gotten to the point where it's sort of serving other matches detrimentally, and we'll get to that.
New Japan fans, not all of them, but some of them are making me not like New Japan
I think it's
with
probably
this
mostly
discourse.
the English speaking New Japan face. I have no idea however the Japanese fans think about this.
Oh, they're wishing him the best. Like, a lot of, from what I've read, like they want him to succeed. It's kind of like the best comparisons like Shohei Ohtani in baseball type
No, that
thing.
makes sense.
It's
Mhm.
like, we want you to go succeed and show the world like what we bring to the table type thing, from what I know. And that's why, like, they're gonna watch him.
Yeah.
It's Okada, right? Like, they're gonna
They
watch him.
they get it on the New Japan World. They get Dynamite. He'll
That's
probably
true.
pop up.
That's very true. That's
Uh,
very true. They'll probably be watched a lot more now.
yeah. I said that basically what that is how I feel is this feeling of like, he is the biggest star in Japan and Japanese wrestling history, if not number one, then number two.
Yeah.
Obviously Inoki being up in there as well. He is up there, and it's just like at this point, it's like I'm fully not expecting this guy to put any of these guys over because at the same time, I'm sitting here thinking, who did Nakamura put over? You know,
Right.
you can make an argument Omega, but even then, who knows? He was going to get pushed right immediately, right then and there, anyways.
I mean, they
Um,
had Omega's last match be Tanahashi.
uh, a great point. Omega's last match was Tanahashi.
Like, I think everyone blaming Okada that's ridiculous. Blame Gato.
Yeah.
He's the reason this company is the way it
Well,
is right now.
I said this to you as well, is that like I don't really feel comfortable blaming Gato because this is it. Omega Tanahashi is a great point. This is consistent with
Yeah.
how Gato treats the top stars on
Well,
their
that's
way
why I
out.
say blame him then.
Yeah,
Like,
it's
that's what
like
he does.
Nakamura. I don't. People say like, "Oh,
Nakamura
you put
tag.
over Omega," and I was like, "AJ Styles put over Kenny Omega." Let's be honest.
Yeah.
In the Bullet Club turn there. Nakamura ended up leaving on a Road 2 show by winning a multi-man. If Inoki was alive today, is he losing to Shota Umino? Is he losing to Tsuji? Is he losing to Yua Uemura, the largest Japanese star? If we're comparing Okada to Inoki, would Inoki do any of this? Of course
No.
not. And if Nakamura is not doing it, if Omega is not really doing it either, Osprey is a one of one, basically at this point.
And
And I
I'd
think
argue he made the wrong decision.
I think that's fair. But I think like I don't necessarily blame Gaeta because there's a consistent trend of this is how he does. And I
Yeah.
think it's just him wanting to respect his top stars on their way out by giving
Absolutely.
them a win, or if they're losing to another top star or something. There's very rare for Gato to have someone put over the young star like this. This idea of putting over young stars is an American idea. Applying it to New Japan when Gato doesn't do this is insane to me.
Yeah. I just like to blame Gato for the state of New Japan Pro Wrestling.
That's
More
different. The problem here is Gato hasn't made new stars fast enough.
the problem is Gato's like he's lost his fastball. I think that's agreeable. And that's kind of my state after all these shows. Like, I still see people blaming Okada. I'm like, Okada isn't to blame for these shows, guys.
Yeah.
He's not the problem.
I
There's
saw
other
people sorry for interrupting. I saw people like bringing up the idea of Okada must have heat with the Office of how he's being because of how he's being treated going out.
Oh yeah, I'm sure. No, like he left. No. Just stop. Just stop, man. Like I'm so tired. I'm so tired. Like, oh my god, the past two. Like, I think New Japan's obviously like not a great place right now, but I also think like this world is ending mentality is ridiculous.
Yeah, and I'll use this to transition to night 2. I think it is honestly detrimental to wrestlers, to the other wrestlers in this company. It is hurting their matches. And I'll say this. The hair versus hair match was not that good. I gave it 3. I thought it was solid. That I could be the high man on that. I don't know. People treated this like the end of the world too.
You're waiting for me to absolutely let loose here, aren't you?
Well, I'm setting this up. I'm setting up the idea of how I felt about this match going out of it is Yuya Uemura, very good fundamental wrestler, but beyond that, I've never been excited about Yuya Uemura. People know this. Yota Tsuji, I'm super high on, and I didn't think his performance in here that great. But I'm also thinking to myself, watching this match of 2 months, not 2 months ago, 1 month ago, they had a match at Wrestle Kingdom that everyone said that was a totally fine match. Let me see what I gave that match. Totally fine match. I went 3 1/4. I went 3 on this hair versus hair. Everyone at the time there said that match was a good foundational match of a rivalry, right? Their next match is this hair versus hair. Granted, it's a big stipulation, so I get there's also that. But everyone is treating this match like this is do or die for New Japan, and that if this match isn't a 5-star classic, then New Japan's dead. And I'm like, what has changed in a month's time for New Japan? Other than
Okada's leaving. That's it.
And because Okada is leaving,
yeah,
this match now has to live up to insane heights that a month ago was okay just being a 3 1/4 star match and was a foundational match for 10 years of rivalry and 10 years of storytelling. Here on night 2, on night 2 of New Beginning Sapporo, all of a sudden it's like New Japan's ending because they had a 3-star stinker. What are we talking about here?
So I'll add this because hair versus hair is a very serious concept in Japan comparatively to like the US. So like that aspect is why I was so bothered by it, because there was no seriousness between these two. Like they just had a match. Like if you put this match into the G1, I would have been like, okay. It's like that was the problem for me. Like the fundamentals or whatever, great. Who cares? Like they had a fine match. But I felt like leaving this match and feud, they both lost. If that makes sense. Like, yeah, sure, Yuya Uemura has a new haircut, but they both lost. And I think that's the bad part. Yeah. I'm in agreement with you. Like, I don't think the world's over for them. I definitely don't think the world's over for them.
I don't think anyone's giving these guys time anymore.
No, everyone's rushing these guys. Like, and I understand it. Like, I partly understand it because you lost Ospreay and Okada, so it's like you don't have time. But as someone that's watching Shota Umino have to lose to Evil all the time, like, listen, he's at least over. So like I accept it. Like this is part of the build. They're building him up as this super baby face by putting him against House of Torture, and it's working. He gets good reactions. And with these guys, they're trying to build them both up at the same time against each other. And I think both of them will benefit greatly from this New Japan Cup. Like I think they're going to have great matches and stuff.
Yeah.
I am worried about Yuya Uemura though.
Me too.
Like this guy as I said to a friend this weekend, he is closer to Ren Narita than he is to Shota and Yoda.
Completely agree.
And that's not a good thing. Not a good thing. Because Ren Narita isn't going to get better anytime soon because they've stunted his growth.
He is now opening tag multi-mans.
Yeah, and that's where Yuya Uemura is heading. He has not shown any case of wanting to change his style. He has not shown any form of, you know what, I'm going to grow. It like I'm watching Shota lap him. And you know, people will look at the Yoda match and it's gonna hurt. It's gonna hurt Yoda for until he has his next standout match. But
Yeah.
he's gonna be fine. Like those two are gonna be fine. But man, they're really like hurting. I do want to say this about New Japan. They've done like everything in their power, in my opinion, to hurt both Suji and Shota Umino in the past couple months. Because both of them just keep losing.
Yeah. Oh,
Like I know
Suji is always lost.
like I know Suji won here, but like it didn't feel like a win. You know, like it didn't feel like a win.
I get where you're coming from.
And you know, Shota's losing to Evil and
In a match that I thought was worse, by the way.
Right. Well, I agree, but like I didn't expect that match to be good.
Yeah, that's also fair.
So
and I think that's a big difference,
especially after the show one.
And I think that's the big difference too, is that I both of us think the Evil Shota Umino match is a worse match, but in a weird way, Shota Umino is sort of guarded by this sort of New Japan fan backlash because
they're gonna cheer for him.
They're gonna cheer for him, but also like you just said, no one was expecting the Evil match to be good.
No. This match had everything it needed to be good. It was,
here in this hair versus hair, people are expecting the next coming of Inoki and the next coming of Okada in this match.
Yeah.
And that's the problem. And I think, and ultimately, that is where I take is that no one is willing to give these young guys any more time right now. And I get it. Things feel dire. People feel like they need to, but they want these guys, like I said, to be the next coming of Okada. And I don't know, have we ever compared any of these guys to Okada? At best, we're comparing them to Tanahashi, who is still great, once in a century ace, right? But they're not Okada. They're not Inoki. That's different. That is beyond Tanahashi.
And that's okay.
That's okay.
They don't need to be Okada. You know, like I think you know what this match was for them? This match for those two was what Shota had with Naito a year ago at this very same tour. Right? The long main event that just does nothing. And it's like, all right, whatever.
Yeah.
You know, like it's the same thing. They're hurt because it's against each other, and the hair versus hair stipulation just ruined them.
Yeah.
Like because you guys needed to beat like destroy each other with an inch of your life, and you guys were like arm drag.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, but a lot of those arm drags and headlocks are from Uemura, who
I know
is like great. He's a great fundamentals wrestler, but
I also don't think Suji can wrestle 28 minutes or lead a 28-minute match. Like you and me have talked about this. He's better in
sprints,
20 or less right now.
I agree. Yeah,
unless he fights like the Osprey of the world.
Who unless he can fight like an Okada, Osprey, Naito, who is has the experience to lead him to those sort of types of matches. He isn't there yet. I think he maybe wants to be there. I wouldn't be shocked if he wants
to.
Does, but he doesn't have the experience yet, and that's what that is time.
Lord knows Uemura does not.
No, I'm sick and tired of fundamentals wrestler Uemura. I was like, great, a fundamentals wrestler to me is a young lion. That is a fundamentals wrestler.
I'm hoping like the story here for Yuya, and this is just me being like hopeful, right? Is I hope like the idea is he shaves his head and he just changes finally. But I don't have that hope. I don't have that full hope, but that's maybe the idea behind all of this. They're like, all right, you're doing this, and then you're going to like start to be a true real wrestler. But you know.
Yeah. I could see them if they wanted to fix sure, like anybody, obviously like Tanahashi and Shooter is the big comparison. I feel like if anything, like Yuya and Naito is the comparison here potentially of coming in this hot young baby face, doesn't really work out, and then he has to do a massive change to his appearance and to how he is to get to the next level. Maybe that's what it is. Who knows?
That's why we call Suji Nakamura.
Because he got a big old smile.
That's true. He does have a big old smile. But like That's why I'm not worried about this show even after this bad weekend for all three of them. I'm still very confident about Suji and Umino because like one of them's getting some of the best pops and the other one is a charismatic, stud and
Yeah.
like that's gonna carry him no matter what. Like
Yeah.
patience is good. I think the New Japan Cup's gonna do them a lot of good. I really
I
do.
hope so. I hope so.
They need the right opponents though. Like you can't put Shota in there against another. You can't keep putting this guy against House of Torture. I've been suffering. And like Yoda Tsuji needs to face. I don't know. Give him some main event guy.
Yeah. Yeah. Have him face Shingo. Ooh.
Have him face Shingo or Taichi. I think that would do him a lot of good, actually.
Yeah, I guess Taichi would actually make more sense because they would be different factions. But like New Japan Cup, you can get away with that if you did New Japan Cup.
You do both.
You could do both. There we go. Yeah. And Yu Uemura, he's also like brand new. He doesn't even have like a G1 climax under his belt, right? So
right. So he has leeway still. Mm-hmm. Right. You and me talked about that last year going into the G1. Like, all right, these guys need to, and they did good. Red. No. But like the other two, we walked out, we were like, good. And then they both had the Osprey matches, and it's like, all right, we're fine.
Yeah, I think ultimately, like everyone just needs to calm down.
Yuya needs a lot.
Yuya needs a lot, but
I'm very worried about him. I'm not going to calm down on him. I'm very worried about him.
I completely get where you're coming from. I am at the point now of Yuya Uemura where I am not into this guy, but I'm not going to make my final determination until post G1 climax.
That's true. I am with you. I think the reason I'm very worried about him is because like everyone was talking this guy up. They're like, "This is the guy. This is the guy." And it's like,
I know, but meanwhile, I'm over here watching him and Joe Hendry tag matches, and I'm like, "Who? This guy is nothing. This guy doesn't have anything."
To be fair, most people decide not to watch those.
Well, that's the problem. You got to get in the trenches with.
You gotta watch Joe Hendry. You heard it here first, everyone. Ryan Nicey, you have to watch it.
And that is why I am the voice of the tasteless folks. That is why I'm the one sitting here watching Joe Hendry matches. Oh man.
You believe in Joe Hendry. I get it.
God, I'll tell you what. That's much. I don't believe Uemura.
Damn.
But I digress. Other matches in here, they had the like sort of best of 5 series, LIJ versus just 5 guys, LIJ getting the win. I actually really kind of like Taka Michinoku versus Bushi. I really like Doki versus Hiromu, and I thought Taichi Shingo was great.
I love Taichi and Shingo, man. Like, I watched this and I'm like, okay, we have answers. New Japan has answers for the time being. They're right here.
I'm so glad you said that. That is fully how I went going into it, and coming out of it, I was like, this is my main event in at least a year or two. Like, this is the present. Is Taichi Shingo. This is the mantle right now. Don't look at Tsuji and Yuya Uemura. Look at Taichi Shingo, folks. They're the best match of the weekend.
Oh,
in all of wrestling, I'll say.
Without a doubt. I mean, I've pretty much watched everything from this weekend. I haven't watched Danielson Jun Akiyama yet, but pretty much everything else I've watched, and it absolutely is the best match of the weekend, and it's not even close. I thought Doki and Hiromu was very good, mostly because Doki won, but this is the problem. This is the problem with this is why the sky isn't falling. The sky is falling maybe because Gato may not book them in the right spots, but Taichi and Shingo are there. They're there to shine. They're there to deliver, right? It's not just them either. It's, I think Naito's fine. Like, Naito Sanada missed, obviously. And I think Sanada's wrestling injured, by the way.
Oh, really?
I think he really ruined his shoulder at Wrestle Kingdom. I think he kept going because there's no way that was just working. And because every time they went for the Destino, he just couldn't. It just wasn't happening. So I do think he's injured. And they delivered the first time when it mattered most. So again, I don't really care. They shouldn't have run it back already. But like you have these two that you can just put in any scenario and they're going to deliver, right? Every single time. Like, that's my confidence in them. And I think like you need to start using them because this is the especially Shingo, like, right? We've been talking about this.
Yeah.
He is probably the best wrestler in New Japan right now.
Mm-hmm.
I think I kind of can confidently say that right now.
I
And I think
think
you just need to lead that.
let me look at my ratings for old Shingo
With
boy.
Okada now gone, and
And David
that's it.
Finley stinking ass.
Like you got Shingo, you got Zach, you got Taichi.
Yeah, I think Zach's probably up there as well. Yeah, I have Shingo as my highest rated New Japan wrestler right now.
And I think like those three you can lead on to help main events and stuff. Like I know it's not exciting, but it's something. And then in time, you're gonna have the Yoda Sujis and Shota Uminos ready for the next spot. I think that's okay. Like you have the guys to fill in the gaps until then. And I hope that's what they do.
Yeah, Shingo is my New Japan wrestler of the year right
My
now.
comfortably.
Comfortably. I Gabe Kidd is actually second, but Gabe Kidd is really like the steel cage match and like one other really good showing that I liked. That's not a comfortable thing. And then Finley's third because I was really super high on this Wrestle Kingdom match, the 3-way. And Zack Sabre Jr. is fourth, super far behind, but
He hasn't had any big.
he had the Danielson match, he had the
Well,
Tanahashi match, and then I saw a Nagata match with Zack Sabre Jr. And I think those are really the matches I've seen from him.
Yeah, I mean, I really like the Danielson match, but that's one match.
Yeah, the rankings will change, so that's totally fine.
Just Shingo and Taichi.
I know. I watched that match and I stepped away and be like, this is what we're focusing on. Everyone's focusing on the young guys that are not ready and pushing them too hard. And pushing too hard right now might be super detrimental to their careers. When we have Taichi, Shingo, Zach, those are the guys we're going to push. Obviously, New Japan's also going to push Evil and David Finlay, and that is all those 5 guys are probably going to be like the New Japan Cup guys. Meanwhile, everyone's going to be dunking on New Japan because they're not pushing the young guys when New Japan's probably be focusing on these other guys. So I don't know.
They should give one of them a run. I'm not saying win it.
I agree. I would love if one of them got into the Final Four.
After they both, like, I think the top 2 should both have runs. Shota needs a run because they had him lose to House of Torture 75 times. And Tsuji, I think, will have a run because he won against Yuya.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, you would expect that to be momentum, but we'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see now, won't we?
Any other thoughts on New Beginning New Beginning Night 2? Tama Tonga and Tongaloa versus God. With special guest referee Jado, I thought was
this is a great question. I do want to talk about this real quick because I did want to bring up Forbidden Door. So thank you, Matt. What dream matches would you want to see at Forbidden Door? Thinking about it exposes how New Japan needs to make new main eventers. I agree. Listen. We had this discussion privately, I think, you and me, about Forbidden Door and like what that looks like now.
Yeah.
It's not good. Like if the idea is it has to be New Japan versus AEW, it's not great.
Yeah, it's rough.
Like, all right. So,
but I also don't think it's that this year. I don't think it's going to be just.
I don't think it.
An AEW.
It's it's going to have CML, which I think someone said already.
Obviously, it should be Eddie Kingston versus Mystico.
Yeah. Let me think here. Hold on. Hold on. Okay. All right, I'm with it. I think one match you need to do is if you need some AEW versus New Japan, I think Shota Umino versus John Moxley is one that works because a lot of fans here know what that is about. I think Naito versus someone big
Naito
works.
can do a defense. Yeah.
Yep. And you can do any big wrestler and it will work. And
Still haven't done
then
the dream singles match of Hiromu Darby.
and
He's
then I
coming
do
up.
like Shingo and Hangman.
That'd be good.
I think those three. And then I think you can kind of do whatever you want the rest of the way. Like you can do big tags and stuff like that. Like I think the best way to kind of make this work is you remember that great tag from the past year
I'll
that
pull
they
up
did?
Matt
Naito Danielson.
Burrell's
There you go.
question. Naito versus
Yes.
Danielson. Yeah, that works.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I would do that in a second. That's a perfect main event for Forbidden
That would be a
Door.
perfect main event. I would be worried whether or not Tony Khan would actually want to book that just because
He can
Danielson would
book.
take the
Danielson
loss.
loses. Danielson's on the I want to just wrestle all the cool people tour, and I don't care if I win.
Yeah.
Like that's the tour.
Yeah.
And I think that's great. Like I think
We
that's a great
also
show.
that match also is probably going to be Danielson Saber, the best 2 out of 3 falls though, based on what's cooking right now. To be fair, not to take that dream match away, but
I would love Naito and Danielson.
Yeah,
but you're probably right. Okay, then let me pick someone else for Naito. I've
already
already booked Hangman and Shingo.
What I was gonna say Naito Swerve, but I also don't think Tony Khan's gonna have Swerve lose.
Naito Samoa Joe.
Oh, champ versus champ.
Well, I don't know if Samoa Joe's gonna be champ by then. That's the thing, right?
Fair,
like
fair.
This is very far down the road. I think that's a possibility, but I think you want to send a main eventer. You don't want to do what you did last year and send in Jungle Boy Jack Perry, right? Like
you don't.
Naito's
you don't want to send in the scapegoat.
Naito's different from Sonata, obviously. You could always just do like Osprey. I mean, we've seen it, but you could always do that. Yeah. You probably won't because whoever's going to face Naito, assuming Naito is the champion at the time, is going to lose. So you probably don't want to send Osprey because Osprey's probably getting built up for All In. So it'll depend who's not champion, but I think there's great choices.
Here's a crazy pitch. Just 5 guys versus the Bang Bang Scissor Gang.
I really hope the Bang Bang Scissor Game doesn't exist by then.
Connor Houston, good answer as well on the Danielson thing. Could save Danielson versus Saber for Wembley in August. That would be more neutral. That would be more
because it's AEW show, but it's Wembley, so it's Zach. Yeah,
that could, and then that could lead to Naito Danielson. That's certainly plausible.
Yeah, I like that.
That's just super far away. That's why I didn't think of Wembley.
Going from Naito Moxley to Naito Danielson.
Ooh, LIJ versus BCC action over here.
Well, Shingo Claudio.
Shingo and Shingo. It'll be like a tag match. It would be like Shingo, Hiromu, and Yota Tsuji. Oh, here we go. Shingo, Hiromu, Yota Tsuji versus Moxley, Wheeler Yuta, Claudio.
That works. And then you could do Naito and Danielson.
Naito Danielson on top.
Yeah. All right. I'm in. I mean,
that's what we got there.
They'd probably, you know what they'd probably do? They'd probably, you say Tsuji?
Yeah. I was just looking at names.
I could see them throwing Shota on the BCC side.
I was going to say, Yuta. Yeah. Well, I did Yuta because I would assume that LIJ gets BCC would probably have to get the win here. So yeah, then you do it. You throw in Shooter, make it an 8-man. Throw in Shooter, then that way you can also throw in Bushi.
Teton.
Ooh, Teton. Okay, Teton.
Yeah.
By the way, Bushi or Teton, whoever, they're going to take the fall in this match.
All right, one of them's a lot better, so I prefer Teton.
That's fair. That's certainly fair.
It's not all bad.
An LIJ versus BCC undercard match.
You got to lean on LIJ, obviously,
which also would work if you do CMLL involvement.
Yeah, that's true. Just give me Shingo and Hangman though. Actually, that's what I actually want.
Any other thoughts? A new beginning in Sapporo that weekend of New Japan shows. We didn't talk about Tama Tonga too much. We set it up, but the match was good. I went 3 on it. But I really would have gone 2 and 3 quarters, 2.75. But the post match of Tama Tonga leaving, kind of emotional. I kind of got into it, so I was fine with it.
I couldn't have wanted to watch it less, so I didn't.
Fair enough. It was fine.
As someone said to me of me doing the hiya, hiya, hiya.
The Tongaloa. Did he do that in this match? I don't even remember.
I don't know. I didn't watch it.
Fair enough. All right then. That's New Beginning Sapporo. I think
we're only an hour and 16 minutes in.
We only got a billion other topics to get to. So let's get through something super easy. Let's talk about NWA Hard Times.
All right. All the audience we have, see ya.
Audience, you want to stay for this one. So, all right, ready?
It's worth it, trust me.
Can I read you the card for NWA Hard Times?
Please do.
All right. That was the card. The show's next week. Sorry, this Saturday. The show is this Saturday. There is no published card for the show. It is in Dothan, Alabama, the Dothan City
Are you
Center.
sure?
I've checked NWA's website, Wikipedia.
Oh, man.
I have checked Cage Match. Everywhere I've checked has no stars. It has people announced for it. Last week I made fun of AJ Francis announced for the show. And I also saw the Dothan, Alabama, Dothan Civic Center website that's selling the tickets. They had no card on it, but they had NWA stars and a list of NWA stars on it. There is no card for this show. That is this Saturday. Can I tell you another thing? So the reason we're talking about NWA Hard Times is because I lost a bet. Scotty, you want to set this up?
Royal Rumble bet again. Yeah. So every year we do the Royal Rumble bet where we do superlatives, and every year Ryan loses. 2 years ago, it was he had to watch the 5 worst matches on Cage Match.
Correct. That's where we discovered that. That's where we discovered that WWE edited out Sid Vicious's leg injury at WCW.
Yeah. Last year, we decided as a group that NWA Hard Times is the perfect show you have to watch.
Yes. The hard times will befall the loser of this show, this bet.
Yes. So here we are. Ryan's gonna strap in once again for Hard Times. And Hard Times is so rough that there's no matches for the show.
You want to hear another part?
Yes.
I don't know how we're going to do this bet because as far as I can tell, there is no way to watch the show. I have checked everywhere. I've checked the NWA website. I've checked online. I've checked the CW app. I don't see anything about Hard Times. I've just seen just now overview. I just read this now. I just was able to find this. Overview. National Wrestling Alliance heads to Dothan, Alabama for Hard Times 2024. Tickets are available now at NWALiveEvents.com. The show will be part of NWA Power Programming exclusively on the CW. As far as I can tell, NWA Hard Times is not going to be streamed anywhere, but based on reading that, it will be chopped up for NWA Power exclusively on the CW app.
All right. Well, we're going to have to come up with something new.
This is the NWA Hard Times. It took me days to find this line in a press release from the NWA. The show will be part of NWA Power Programming exclusively on the CW app.
I can think of something bad. Don't worry.
I'm sure you can.
I'll get into the lab.
But
that ain't going to work.
If you look at the poster for Hard Times, it doesn't say how you watch it. It just says the CW, which is not properly the CW network. It's just the app, to be clear. There's no published card. Talents are scheduled to appear. I'm looking at a list of talents. I can read that off if you want to preview, but there's nothing. No. This was worst promotion of the year, voted on by the Observer Award. This is
couldn't have been more right.
this is the state of the NWA. We are just trying to do a fun little bet where I lost and I have to watch Hard Times like I did last year. And this show is number one, has no card 7 days out. 6 days out. Number two, unwatchable anywhere unless it gets clipped up after the fact for the CWF. For Power. This is what the show is. This is what the NWA is anymore, folks. Oh, I miss the old days of Titus O'Neil as not Titus O'Neil. What the fuck is his name? Tyrus is
That might have been the most disrespectful thing you could have ever said about Titus O'Neil.
Probably.
Tyrus.
I miss the old days of Tyrus as champion because at least I could watch the show on Fight. I can't watch this on Fight. I don't know where to watch.
Now you don't have to watch it because I'm gonna give you something new.
Are you telling me I'm gonna miss out on Violent J, the Brothers of Funstruction?
Maybe hold on. All right, well, move on, and I'm gonna come.
You're telling me I'm missing out on Mims? Where am I gonna get my Thrillbilly Silas Mason takes?
Maybe I should just make you rewatch the entire Better Than You Baby Feel Good Bromance of the Summer video that AEW put out. It's an hour and 50 minutes long.
I don't even know what words you're saying, sir. What did you just say to me?
So AEW, right, during the summer, put together every segment between MJF and Adam Cole into one YouTube video.
Oh no.
And it's an hour and 50 minutes long.
Oh, it's like
on YouTube.
Like rivalry things.
Yeah. And I know how much you loved that feud. So it's almost like that would be perfect content.
Would it be?
I'm going to think of a live show first, but right now, that is the leader in the clubhouse.
I wish all the episodes were out, but I think a good contender is the Johnny Loves Taya reality show that AEW has put on their YouTube.
You're lucky Triple A doesn't have a show soon.
Triple A. At least I can watch Triple A. Connor Houston asks, wasn't Camille their biggest star? Yeah, she's gone. Yeah. Well, maybe she's gone. I don't know. She's teasing something. Who knows? Maybe she's back in NWA and she's showing up at Hard Times this weekend.
Don't talk about Hard Times.
I want to talk about Hard Times. Talk about not being able to watch a show that you're publishing, that you're advertising to your fan base. Do you have a big time show, a show that was your biggest show in your lineup a year ago, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, and now it is unwatchable anywhere other than probably clipped up on
I think you should be happy.
I'm in a way I'm happy, in a way I'm just frustrated at like just the piss poor promoting of
Maybe I should just make you watch. I'll just have you watch a GCW show. Now we're good.
There we go. It's just frustrating to watch a company like this just the.
Who's your least favorite wrestler? Who's my least favorite wrestler? I can do a Killer Kelly compilation.
Oh no, the best ofs?
The best of Killer Kelly.
Oh God, that will break me. That'll break me. Oh,
might let the people vote.
Maybe we get the people to vote. If you have any ideas of what to lose, because the end of the Hard Times is over, I guess. Oh boy. Oh,
we got a recommendation. American Bash 04. Thank you. Okay, let me check. Good morning, by the way.
Bash 2004.
Yeah. I mean, if it's bad, I'll watch it.
This is from Norfolk, Virginia, for a capacity crowd of 6,500. Your main event. Holy shit. Concrete Crypt 2-on-1 handicap match. The Undertaker versus the Dudley Boys. That's your main event. Great American Bash 2004.
This show is not good.
The semi-main was the heavyweight title Texas Bull Rope match. Eddie Guerrero versus John Bradshaw Layfield. Hardcore Holly versus Mordecai. Oh boy. Sable versus Tori Wilson. Billy Gunn versus Kenzo Suzuki. Huh?
You got to look at these match ratings.
Rey Mysterio versus Chavo Guerrero. In cruiserweight title match, Charlie Haas versus Luther Reigns. Opening match, John Cena, Booker T, Rene Dupree, Rob Van Dam. U.S. title fatal 4-way elimination match. That's a SmackDown versus Raw 08 match if I've ever seen one.
This main event has a 0.58.
Oh,
Hardcore Holly versus Mordecai is a 1.76.
oh,
Stable versus Tori Wilson has a 0.83.
Oof.
Billy Gunn versus Kenzo Suzuki is a 1.04.
The best match I've seen so far looking at these ratings is the JBL Eddie Guerrero match. And the Chavo Rey Mysterio, which are not shocking at any capacity.
Oh, this is very tempting.
Charlie Haas, Luther Reigns, 2.78 on Cage Match. The opening match, 5.76. Oof, that's even not that good. But compared to everything else, that's doable.
Very intriguing.
Eternal Pure says, pretty sure that Eddie JBL one is the super bloody one. I think you're right.
Oh yeah.
But only Dave gives it 3 1/4. Dave, the stickler on
blood and headbutts bad unless Will Ospreay does them.
Yeah. Oof. This is up there. This could be up there. This could be up here, folks. Well, I guess the idea is I'll stream this Saturday. I guess. When? Don't know yet. What?
I thought the Killer Kelly idea was pretty good.
It's pretty good. But I don't know when and how. It'll be on Saturday and what it is, but it'll be on YouTube. So subscribe, youtube.com/countoutpod. I believe is the YouTube handle. Subscribe on YouTube. If you're watching this on YouTube, yeah, just subscribe right now. youtube.com/@countout is what
it's a shame we got a recommendation because I was going to break you otherwise. I was gonna find like 10 Killer Kelly matches, be like, watch these.
Thank you so much, Eternal. He still might do that. I'll let Scotty figure out that. But that will break me. Where do we go from here? We got RevPro, we got All Japan, WWE and TNA, and AEW.
We can absolutely blow through. Do we even need to do All Japan? Listen, okay, here you go. Jun Saito and Katsuhiko Nakajima, or no, was it Rei Saito or June?
It was June.
It was fine.
It's not that good.
There you go.
Fuminori Abe versus Dan Tamura, pretty good.
Yeah, I had a good time. But as you said, it was a show.
Yeah, I texted you. I was like, this was a show. Suwama Hideki Suzuki, I thought was interesting.
Yeah, I like that.
I like that too. And I didn't see the Suwama Hideki Suzuki tag team number 1 contenders match.
I just know that they are tag team champions now.
Whoa, spoilers.
Sorry. But we weren't going to cover it next week.
That's definitely true.
That's probably great, though.
So they put the titles on them instead of Kento Miyahara and Yume Yagi?
I'm guessing Saitos weren't losing.
Interesting.
Well, they have Champion Carnival coming up, so I guess they didn't want it to get... I'm guessing Kento's winning that. I don't know. I'm just trying to make sense.
Interesting.
Whatever. 1 second.
I my brain can't calculate that.
You're welcome.
Oh boy. Okay. Well, then let's talk about. Oh boy. Let's talk about. Oh God, I don't know what I talk about. Let's talk about WWE. I guess. Let's talk about WWE. We'll talk about WWE, and then we'll do RevPro, and then we'll do TNA, and then we'll do AEW Revolution. I feel like that's we gotta do something, you know.
TNA, woo!
Get into it. WWE Elimination Chamber. Get into the chamber, baby, and watch a match. Yeah. So this was in Perth. 52,590 was the announced attendance. Apparently, it's according to the Optus Stadium or fans that go here. That's an okay attendance. That was probably bumped up just because that's typically what WWE does. So people
did a lot of people for a first show that was 1, predictable as hell, 2, a B pay-per-view. So I don't think they care all that much. And they probably got paid to do it.
After the show, I think there's an argument that this was a C pay-per-view. But apparently also on this match, apparently the fifth match that everyone was sort of speculating about or what was going to be, rumors are, according to Fightful, it was going to be a title defense from Seth Rollins against Jonah, or Bronson Reed, or whatever his name is.
Jonah, he says.
It's crazy. Interesting that that was the planned match for this show, but Rollins got injured maybe a month ago, and they never thought of a replacement match.
That's real.
They were like, "Oh yeah, this is the planned match." It's like,
by the way, watching a WWE pay-per-view.
What's that?
Watching a WWE pay-per-view after it happened is such a wonderful experience.
That was my take. So the biggest thing I've seen online, obviously, is people complaining about how long of a show this was versus how much wrestling there was.
Yeah.
And obviously, there was the Grayson Waller effect segment, but apparently there was 55 minutes between the tag title match and the men's chamber match of no wrestling.
How many minutes?
55. I believe
awesome.
Is what I saw.
That's incredible.
Basically an hour of no wrestling on the show.
That's great.
So yeah, I mean, but I skipped it. I skipped all of that. I saw what I needed to saw from the Grayson Waller effect on Twitter when I saw Cody challenge The Rock to a singles match. I got what I needed, and I didn't watch the rest of it. Who cares?
It was such an easier watch, which is probably why I didn't find the pay-per-view like all that offensive.
Me too.
So I was like, all right, let's go. Come on. Next.
I'm just sitting here with my fire stick, just like, all right, here we go, Peacock.
All right.
Let's skip
Get into it.
Opening match, women's world title number one contendership, Elimination Chamber. Becky Lynch ends up getting the win by defeating Bianca, Morgan, Naomi, Raquel, and Tiffany Stratton. Tiffy time.
Tiffany Stratton might be the best wrestler in WWE.
WWE as a whole?
Yep. Watched this match, and I was like, she's awesome.
She definitely had the best showing out here. 100%.
She's awesome. Mm-hmm. She is the one. Period. End the story.
Do you see her post-match comment?
No.
Her post-match comment was something along the lines of, maybe I would have won if the crowd cheered for me more.
That's awesome because she was the most over person on the show. It was egregious. It was crazy, but it was real.
Love this is craps, baby.
Yeah. I thought she did awesome. I think she is like everything that they want in a top star. We've got like, we don't talk about WWE a lot, but I feel like one of the main things that we do talk about is that Tiffany Stratton rocks.
We're always making time for Tiffy.
It's always Tiffy time on the Ring Post Radio.
She did really well in here.
I actually like this better than the men's match.
Oh, really? Is there a specific reason? Other than Tiffy?
There wasn't 2 run-ins.
What was the second run-in of the men's one? I know.
Well, sorry. Logan Paul wasn't a run-in, but it annoyed me.
Yeah, we'll get to that crappy ass booking. But yeah, I thought this one I think was like more made sense booking, I guess, in a way. But just
Bianca's very good too, by the way. I want to give her credit.
Well, that's the thing. It's like Bianca's very good, but she is doing nothing.
Oh no. I think she's facing, if I had to guess, she's facing Jade.
Maybe. I don't know.
WrestleMania. Yeah, it's a shame she's doing nothing because she's and the problem is even when she's champion, she's barely doing anything. So it's like, what do you do with her?
It's weird because it feels like Bianca hasn't really it's been very aimless for several months now. Almost, if I had to pick a timeline, maybe around the time that one writer left WWE for racial, that sued WWE for sort of these racial comments that were being made. Maybe once that writer left, Bianca started becoming more aimless. I don't know. I'm unsure. Anyways, I thought Bianca was fine. Tiffany was great. Becky Lynch was good. Morgan, Naomi, Raquel. I don't know, man. Naomi comes back to the company, shipped her off to Perth, lose immediately, gets eliminated first in 13 minutes by Tiffany.
I learned about the insane fandom that Liv Morgan has.
Oh, you have?
The past 24 hours.
Oh, really? Yes.
To the point where I saw someone compare
Oh no.
Becky Lynch to The Rock. And I said, huh?
Well, of course, she does the manhandle slam. It's the same move. She got it from The
But,
Rock.
but like to Liv Morgan fans,
Mm-hmm.
Becky Lynch winning the match that she and Rhea have clearly built up for the past year, just by
Right.
like appearances, face to faces, is the same as The Rock coming in and taking Cody's main event.
Ah, so you're describing the "Let's Go Morgan" tweet. Not "Let's Go Morgan." Whatever the fucking word is. We want Morgan. That's what it was. The
Yes.
"We Want Morgan" tweet storm that happened
I
as
thought
well.
it has to be We Want Liv. There's no way it's We Want Morgan.
Whatever. It doesn't matter. Who cares? You get the point.
I know. I was thinking in my head. Like,
It's probably "We
We
Want
Want
Liv."
Morgan. I started thinking of Red Dead Redemption.
Right. They don't call the women by their last names. I apologize.
No, it's usually Liv, Becky, Bianca. Yeah, you know.
Yeah.
Tiffy,
Mm-hmm.
uh,
Raquel.
But yeah, my point remains that this match was pretty entertaining. Becky should have won, and Tiffany Stratton rules. There you go.
Yeah, I think that's pretty much it.
It's fine.
Yeah. Perfectly serviceable.
Probably the best women's elimination chamber match.
Ooh, interesting.
I feel pretty confident on that because some of them are like this didn't feel super messy or anything. It just felt like, all right, we had a match.
Yeah.
Shout out Tiffy.
That's probably true.
It's
Raw
Tiffy
tag team title, SmackDown tag team title match. Damian Priest and Finn Balor successfully defended against the new Catch Republic, Pete Dunne and Tyler Bate. I thought this was probably the best match on the show.
Yeah, I agree. It was good.
Yeah, it was good. There was weirdness of just like how the really putting over Damian Priest, and you have this new tag team, the new Catch Republic. They do all of their big moves. They do the Birmingham Hammer against Damian Priest, and he kicks out immediately or at 2 or whatever. I don't know. It was sort of just I took away from this was man, they really setting up this new team that wins everybody, beats everybody else in a tournament, in a tag team tournament, forms together the new Catch Republic. They do all their big moves on Damian Priest, and nothing works, and they lose. I was just like, all right, back down the ladder, I guess, guys.
Yeah.
Still a good match, I guess, but still weird. I don't really like the booking here with that.
I like Pete Dunne and Tyler Bate as a duo.
Yeah, they're good. I like them. Speaking about tag team wrestling, hey, WWE's kind of got some tag teams brewing right now.
That's good.
Judgment Day, New Catch Republic, DIY's back together. The Creeds are around.
Creeds are real.
They have an interesting tag division right now.
Otis and Chad Gable still team.
Yeah.
They used to be good.
Alpha
Street
Academy.
Profits.
They're in the Bobby Lashley stable, the Pride, if you will.
Pride, sure, whatever you say. AOP. I don't know if they wrestle, but AOP's around.
They're certainly around. They're a tag
out the mud.
Oh, how can we forget
the Wolf Dogs?
WWE World Heavyweight Title number 1 contendership elimination chamber match. McIntyre gets the win over Lashley, Owens, Knight, Logan Paul, Randy Orton. Weird match.
Randy Orton was the best part of this match.
Yeah, in a weird way, because the best part of this match was just because he was selling his back the entire time.
Incredibly well.
Sure, yeah.
I was convinced that this guy got fucked up, and then when the ref stopped caring about him, I was like, oh, he's fine.
Yeah, and then he does the RKO to the finish of the match. He's like selling his back the entire match.
Yeah.
Then he kind of like reveals that it may or may not have been fake because he does a pop-up RKO to Drew McIntyre. And it's like, oh, okay, maybe he's okay. Then out of nowhere, an eliminated Logan Paul wallops Randy Orton in the jaw. And Randy Orton gets pinned by McIntyre. That's it. That's the finish.
That stunk.
Yeah, that was a big stinky poop.
That really upset me. Pretty crazy, though, that they're like, you know what we're going to do? We're going to have Logan Paul get RKO'd in a crazy spot at WrestleMania. That's what we're doing. That's what they told me. Yeah, it's Drew should win. I just don't like the way he won, and that ruined the match for me.
Yeah, the eliminations, by the way, 3 of them by McIntyre, 2 of them by Orton.
Oof, baboof.
Guess who's getting pushed right now?
Bobby, I thought killed Logan Paul at one point.
Mm-hmm.
When
The
they
spear and
speared him
chain.
for the thing, I was like, Jesus Christ! I was like, have we forgotten Logan Paul is like a celebrity?
Kind of.
I think he has because he
Yeah.
got destroyed.
AJ Styles makes the long
AJ,
ass.
oh my god, man! I do not want to see AJ Styles anymore. I don't. I couldn't care less about this guy.
Yeah.
Because I know, you know what I know follows an AJ Styles appearance? A mid at best match.
Oof.
In the year 2024. Oof baboof.
Well, yeah,
especially LA Knight.
The spin-off of this chamber match is obviously McIntyre versus Rollins at WrestleMania. Not a main event, sorry guys. Randy Logan Paul for the US title, probably, as well. I thought maybe Owens, Logan Paul would spin out and continue, but no, it's going to be Logan and Randy. Owens could be evolved, certainly. Randy eliminated Owens, so maybe that's something. Maybe not. Probably not. LA Knight Styles is going to be something. And that's kind of it. That was a spin-off, the WrestleMania implications of the chamber match.
Yeah.
Our main event, WWE Women's World Title match. Rhea Ripley defeats Nia Jax in 15 minutes.
I think Rhea Ripley's good. I don't think Nia Jax is.
I agree.
I saw people praising Nia Jax. I was like, am I missing something? I saw like a decent amount of praise for her. And I was like, she just does the same exact move.
Well, we talked about it going into the match of like, she's certainly better than where she was years ago. Nia Jax.
Well, that's true, but that doesn't mean she's good.
She started the year off in a great match with Becky Lynch.
So I'm told.
I gave it 3 3/4. I thought it was really good.
Wow, that is really good then. That's shocking, actually.
Yeah, that part of it is that it was a shocking good match from Nia Jax.
That must have been the match of her life.
And it certainly was, because after watching this main event, it was like, all right, I don't think Nia Jax is the next coming of Okada like we all thought.
You know what I will say, you know what I learned in this match? Rhea Ripley can do a lot more than she ever gets to do.
Oh yeah. Well, to be fair, most of this match was her just selling the entire match.
Yeah, but like when she did moves, I was like, oh, like that's different. Like she's doing a lot of creative things. I was like, she just doesn't have the opponents to probably do this against most of the time. I mean, her title reign's been like Zelina Vega, Natalya, Nia Jax. I'm not continuing. You get my point.
Oh, I do want
Raquel Gonzalez.
Here we go.
I think Rhea's good.
Beats Charlotte. Like she beats Charlotte for the SmackDown Women's title. She beat Vega. She beat Natalya. It becomes the Women's World title. She beats Natalya, Raquel. A fatal 5-way against Nia Jax, Raquel, Baszler, Zoe Stark, Ivy Nile, and now Nia Jax.
Actually, the Zoe Stark one and Ivy Nile one, both of those were pretty good.
Mm-hmm. That was day one in War Games.
Crazy what happens when she gets to wrestle like new talent.
And now look, Becky wins. It's Rhea Ripley versus Becky at WrestleMania. That should be really good. I mean, a lot of these matches are against new young talent that like they're trying to build up. Obviously, well, maybe not Natalya.
I think Becky's good.
Maybe not Natalya as new young talent, but they're Becky and Rhea could be certainly something. Versus the man versus mommy.
I will give them credit. The 2 women's title matches have been built up for a long time. Which is good. So, this match was probably as good as I expected it was going to be. At least for me. I didn't expect it to be that great.
You pitched the idea of Bianca Belair versus Jade Cargill. Can I pitch an alternate pitch that I think they might do?
Please don't say Nia. Please don't say Nia. Please don't say
Nia versus Jade.
Oh, that makes sense.
The immovable force versus the unmovable object.
They should do Bianca and Tiffany.
Yeah.
They seem to be building to that, so they should just do it.
Oh yeah, because we did a little bit of that on SmackDown as well, if I do recall.
Yeah, that would be great.
Because you can do Nia Jax and she can eat a loss to Jade, and it'll be impressive when Jade picks her up.
Yeah, that's good. No, I think that's a good 4 matches. Then I think I like that idea better.
Now that match will suck. Keep that in mind.
Oh,
Versus
it'll
Paige.
be awful. However, that's okay.
It's the spectacle that they would want.
Yeah. It's not like Brock versus Omos because that was sick. But
No.
close enough.
RevPro High Stakes happened last
Ugh.
weekend. We weren't planning on talking about it because we had a massive card already, but we felt the need to talk about it, of course, because of that main event, the RevPro
That's
Undisputed British Heavyweight title match.
Yeah, Dave
6
Meltzer.
stars by Dave Meltzer. Michael Oku defeating Will Ospreay in 47 minutes and 12 seconds. A lot of other interesting matches as well. If you want to go check out the rest of the show, I highly recommend it. I thought the rest of the show was good to pretty good.
Really like Luke Jacobs versus JJ Gale.
Correct. Luke Jacobs versus JJ Gale was really good. Dave went 4.5 on that one. Holy shit. Orange Cassidy showed up in the opener, which is totally fine. Mustafa Ali, Robbie X was pretty good as well. Connor Mills, Zack Sabre Jr. was also kind of interesting. And other stuff happened on the card. But the main event is
good. I watched the whole card. I thought it was a pretty good show.
Yeah, I thought it was a pretty good show.
A go. I didn't watch that.
Yeah,
I thought Danny Luna and Sapphire Reed. I enjoyed. I never really watched Sapphire, but I've always heard good things about her. She's really young. But she did like this crazy like drop kick thing where she almost fell, but it actually looked sick. I thought it was a good show.
Yeah, I think Top Down was a pretty fun show. Young Blood versus True and Lacey. Young Blood were good, but I was really impressed by True and Lacey, who are guys who don't even have a cage match profile yet. So
yeah, I didn't know who they were, but I was like, this worked.
A Go-Go Night, that match was not that good, but it told an interesting story. So there was an aspect that was enjoyable here. Shingo Trent 7 was a wild match to watch because it was like I didn't
watch that. I couldn't do it.
It was like a Japanese move finisher love fest, of old Puro move love fest over here, and the crowd just wasn't into it. Just
no one likes Trent 7.
Yeah, I don't blame
in his own country.
But the big talking point here, obviously the main event, Michael Oku defeats Will Ospreay. And Will Ospreay's last match before arriving in AEW. Obviously, he ended in New Japan previously, and this is his last match in RevPro. And I mean, I thought the match was great. I thought the match was, I think currently it's my match of the year right now. I thought the match was really, really great. Michael Oku is just this embodiment to me of perseverance, and against Ospreay, who I think is his best, to be fair, it's Ospreay, his best opponent. Oku is really good at selling, which I really thought his selling here was really, really solid. And Ospreay, obviously great. I wish there was more of interactions between the towel concept of the match, this towel stipulation that they set up the match. I thought Amira's involvement made sense, but I would have liked to see more of that. We said this idea of, if Amir throws in the towel on Oku, that's how he can also lose. And obviously Ospreay's point in this match was trying to kill Oku, and Oku being like, no, I'm going to kill you as well. So I'd maybe like to see Amira struggle a little bit more with that towel throwing instead of just being like, no, I'm not doing that. But it was totally fine. This doesn't matter because the match was great. And I think undoubtedly right now I'm a match of the year. But that's, I think, apparent going into this one. Will Ospreay's great. He's a great wrestler. He's going to give this match his all. Oku, I really enjoy. Scotty, I know for a fact, and our audience knows that you're not a huge Oku fan. What did you think of this main event?
I'm still not a huge Oku fan.
There we go.
I lost my mind when he kicked out of the Hidden Blade and Stormbreaker. I was legitimately angry.
Really?
I don't think he should be the guy kicking out of the Stormbreaker. I was very angry. I thought the match was good. I thought this was a great Ospreay performance.
Oh yeah,
top tier. He brought everything he could. I can't do the Oku. I just can't. I can't. I'm trying. I try, and I still thought this match was really good. I do. I don't have it nearly as high as everyone else. But I still thought it was really good. But man, I watched this guy and he feels so outclassed in there with Ospreay.
Mm.
And that's I can't let go of that Stormbreaker thing. I can't do it because I've seen Ospreay beat so many people with that move and not kick out, and I wish they didn't do that spot. Also, I did not like the new crab that Oku won with.
Mm-hmm.
I did not like that.
Really okay. That's fair. That's all fair. I think that's
I don't
fair.
like how it was shot. Maybe
Yeah.
like I wish we could have panned around to see like him fully bend. But I will talk about the good things now. Now that I got the Stormbreaker thing out of the way because it bothers the shit out of me.
Sure.
I really do think like this was Ospreay's like one of his best career showings,
Mm-hmm.
if that makes sense. Like he did everything to make this guy, and he did everything to um make it seem like and I agree with you on the towel thing. That was a big thing for me in this because I was like, because I knew that going in. I knew like, all right, if that goes in, he loses the belt. And I think that's great. And besides like Will grabbing the towel and then kicking Amira, we never really saw the towel thing again.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, well, I would have liked it to be teased a little more because I do really enjoy the first match that they had. And maybe that's because it's more of it goes down that road a little more.
Yeah.
Because I think the beating was pretty similar in this match. Like Ospreay crushed this guy. And he kept coming back. And I think that was obviously the story being told of Oku's resiliency. But I'm trying not to be full critiques because I did think it was I did like it. I was in the middle of like everyone.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. Like I wasn't like, oh, this is the 21st. It's not the 21st greatest match of all time anymore, but I'm gonna keep saying that because it was on on Cage Match at one time. But I there are picky parts. Like 47 minutes is very long.
Mm-hmm.
It's very long. And I don't think it was necessarily like I felt like I was sitting there a long time. But I also know that they could have trimmed 10 minutes and probably would have been fine.
It's the 22nd highest rated match currently on Cage Match. 22nd. That breaks. That breaks. Just for a record, number 32 is Ric Flair versus Steamboat. Starry, steamy baby. I think I think it was an undeniable performance from Oku. Like I understand if it didn't hit with you, and I do, and I think you can agree that
I think his offense doesn't hit with me.
Yeah, but I think to me,
he
like
did a great job getting his ass kicked, which is not like me being a dick. No, he did a great job at that.
Well, that's the thing is like I don't necessarily what I take away from Oku is not that he has great offense, but in fact that he has great selling and perseverance and the crowd connection that ends up making that all time. I totally agree. Like we've talked about this previously of like Oku can very easily have a very long self-indulgent main event that just sucks ass. You know, the Trent Seven Mike Oku match.
I'm very worried about him post Ospreay.
I agree. We saw what it was like originally when he was on when he first won the title. He could be very self-indulgent in what his spots are, and he's very.
Crowd was incredible, by the way. That too really raised it up for me. I just want to add that.
It's all about the crowd connection when it comes to Oku. It's all about him being the underdog and him fighting to win. Him versus Ospreay is why he's such a good opponent because Ospreay's out there to try to kill him within the story. Him versus some other guy is not, him versus a JJ Gale is probably not going to get Oku over the top there and get that kind of performance because that's the performance that makes Oku great. and
Yeah.
that's where I thought going into this that Oku was really good, and thought coming out of it where he really shined. But I get what you're saying, that I don't fully agree that I think his offense is bad, but it's definitely not the best part of his wrestling ability. His wrestling ability is selling. His wrestling ability is crowd connection and having a mastery on that.
I think there is some clips that I saw online from this match that it looks worse, if that makes sense. Because like you'll just watch like Oku do something, and then Osprey will do like 7 different things in like a bundle, and it's like, man, it's like it's
But
not even
that was also part of the match, though. To be fair,
but it's okay again because I do think it was a great Osprey performance. I think it's gonna be like I think him and Konosuke next weekend is gonna be phenomenal because that's just gonna be a match,
yeah.
right? There's no that, and that's where I think he thrives,
Mhm.
obviously. But he did a very good job here. I do not, and I say this with emphasis, I do not feel good about post Osprey.
Yeah, so that's an interesting aspect that I
Feel
think
good about Luke Jacobs though.
I highly recommend the main event, and I think that's very interesting. But like, there's a more interesting aspect to the story for me, which is the post, not just Rev Pro, but the post Europe scene of Osprey, and what does that look like? You know,
Oof.
we kind of talked about where it's just like it feels like such an open door where like Europe was, you know, on its way to sort of like Eternally Pure wasn't even Osprey's 22nd best
I
match.
agree.
That might also be true. Let me see if I can check his match guide here.
I mean, it will
Well,
be on
no,
there because you just told me it was the 22nd in
yeah,
cage
it's
match
number one.
history.
It's number. I think it's.
Well, that I definitely don't agree with. It's definitely not his best match ever.
No, that doesn't.
I think that's a great. Now I'm thinking.
No, he's missing a bunch of ratings. He only has 2 rated matches on
Yeah,
here.
cage match is like broken right now.
Okay, that makes more sense then, because I was like that doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
Either way, the post Europe scene of what that looks like, obviously, with the pandemic and speaking out, Europe got ravaged and is completely destroyed. And there's companies like Progress or ICW or any of these other places that are just like, you know, because also not only those, you know, because of speaking out and pandemic, but also the connection with WWE that has just ravaged the scene. RevPro put their head down in the pandemic and were able to get through it and come out as the best of the territory of England. And Osprey was a big part of that for the past 5 years of making it into ranking RevPro into the company it is right now in terms of independent wrestling of Europe. But with Osprey gone, what does that look like? You know, you can obviously see his impact throughout the roster of RevPro if you watch these shows. And it's like, what does it look like without Osprey in this company? The Osprey style of wrestling is so distinct. You know, you don't see, gone are the days of British rounds wrestling, right? You know, gone are the days of sort of like, not really gone per se, but you know, we had the British rounds, and even in modern, you had in like the pre-pandemic days, it was more like strong style, a British strong style was the idea. And then Ospreyism really came up post-pandemic through RevPro.
Sure.
But now with Osprey gone, what does that look like? You know, does it go back to British rounds ideas of Zack Sabre Jr. at the helm? Does it go back into like a British strong style idea, a Northern strong style idea of Luke Jacobs? Does Ospreyism continue and form and evolve in something else, or does someone else stand out? Like it does feel like the field is open. I mean, definitely the field is open for Europe because they're still trying to figure themselves out. But it's an interesting aspect to a post Osprey Europe that I'm very intrigued about. I don't know what it looks like. I really don't know.
I don't
now,
think it's good.
And that's fair. I think right now I'm looking at Luke Jacobs. That's the
Yeah.
guy.
Yeah.
Undoubtedly the guy. The takeaway from this weekend of like, damn man, Luke Jacobs is the future right now.
Is it bad of me to say this, and I want to say this right, but he impressed me in his match because he's wrestling a guy that like I don't really know. I don't know who JJ Gale is, but he wrestled him, and they had a really good match.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that I take that away more than like Oku having a good match with Osprey. Does that make sense? Like that's not a shot. That's a praise for Jacobs and where he's at in his career now. I think every match I need to watch of Luke Jacobs at this point. Like it's getting to that point where it's like if he has a match against an opponent that's interesting, I'm gonna watch it because I think he's really good.
And I think he had a post-match promo in his match as well, where he made his intentions clear that he wants to go up the card some more, and he's going to the Revolution Rumble, which you win a title shot. Basically,
He should undoubtedly beat Oku.
Yeah, I think he is. I think he's the guy to beat Oku, 100%. I think it is him versus Oku at one of these next big time shows. And he's probably going to beat Oku because you know how he can beat Oku is by beating the piss out of Oku, similar to Osprey. And even if Oku wins, then it makes sense because he was able to survive Osprey. Of course, he was able to survive Jacobs. But if Jacobs wins, then it showcases, Jacobs killed Oku more than Osprey and gives a rub on the back end there, which is very intriguing.
In a world of everyone trying to do Osprey stuff, right? Trying to be like Osprey. There is the one guy trying to be like Walter, and it stands out all the more.
It's a great point. Great point.
Also, I want all these wrestlers to know they can't be Osprey, so they should probably stop. But that ain't happening. So
not everyone can be Will Ospreay.
No one, I'd argue, can be Will Ospreay. The only one that like brings the elite athleticism, at least on the RevPro, is Leon Slater. That I think that can transition into something exciting.
But obviously he's still super young, and it's
like he shouldn't be at a. And I would like to think Leon Slater could do more than just indies soon. I'd like to see him maybe get a Japan tour or something. You and me have been saying that about Jacobs.
Signed with TNA.
Hopefully that he can ignore that.
Like I swear, I feel like
he did. No, he did.
Bearstein Bears effect here, where I'm like, didn't he sign?
He did. But this show is probably either the best or second best RevPro show I've watched. Like just top to bottom.
Yeah.
And even like if I wasn't as high in the main event as like the many that call it the match of the year, I still think the whole like that plus the post match is really an embodiment of how important Osprey was to this. Like you can hate it, you can love him or hate him, but he did a lot for a scene that wasn't alive.
Oh yeah.
Like this scene was dead. And I'm not gonna say the scene's booming right now. It's not. It's one promotion. But he did his best to try and bring that up at least. I again don't feel good about it without him, but
I think that's fair.
He did his best to put guys over.
And I think that's totally fair because it is very much like it's going back to the Okada of it all, right? Of New Japan. It is like this idea of like there is an open top slot here. How do we fill it? Who's filling it? It's very worrisome because it doesn't feel like anyone is the big standout other than right now for us, Luke Jacobs is that guy. In a weird way, like Oku gets this big rub, but you and I are more excited about Luke Jacobs on the come up.
By the way, I just want to answer the comment. I do not hate AJ Styles. I keep getting asked if I do not hate AJ Styles. I'm not excited for AJ Styles in 2024.
He wants AJ Styles to go back to TNA.
No. I don't think I do. No, I don't hate AJ Styles. I don't like his new gimmick that he's doing. And two,
I think to be fair, he's a shell of his former self.
Yeah, and that's fine. No, like I like old AJ a lot.
Yeah,
a lot. I especially X Division AJ.
Yeah, baby.
But no, I don't hate him. I just want to put that out there. But back to RevPro before we kind of move on here because we have to. I am intrigued for their next big show. I want to see what that looks like.
I believe the next big show is Revolution Rumble. So we'll get this like big time Royal Rumble gimmick, and then they'll have the big show of whatever that world title defense is.
Yeah.
There was an article written by, I forget who it was, on VOW Voices of Wrestling that talked about this idea of like, is Europe independent wrestling dead or a sleeping giant? And they reference, and part of the article was this idea of like ignoring the progress and the old dead guard from before and focusing more on like RevPro. And then there's like other companies that are doing like 1,000+ arenas in England as well. And arguing this idea of like, it could be dead or there is a new something coming. And I get the idea of, but that something coming doesn't have Osprey with them. So who is going to lead that charge? How or maybe not. And to be fair, let's not put it all on one guy. How many wrestlers? We need a bunch of wrestlers to lead that charge. Who of those plural you is going to lead that charge? And Jacobs, I think, is certainly one. I think Oku feels like he's probably certainly one as well. Zack Sabre Jr. is an easy shout as well.
Yeah. They need Jacobs. They're going to really need Jacobs to expand past just the UK.
Yeah, I think that's really what's going to have to help them. Moving right along, speaking of TNA, let's get to TNA. So real quickly, we're not going to talk about the countdown show, the kickoff show.
Do this as a collective show because this was
TNA No Surrender. The reason we're talking about this, of course, is the first show properly produced without Scott D'Amore at the helm. This is produced by
Ryan. Come on,
of course, the voice of the Tasteless. So I don't know exactly who was in charge here, but they put on a show. Obviously, this is a Scott D'Amore card built up, but a booked card by someone else, I guess. Main event saw TNA X Division title match, weirdly enough, being in that main event. Mustafa Ali defeats Chris Sabin to win the X Division title. There was also the semi-main of Knockouts World title match, Jordan Grace, Giselle Shaw. Jordan Grace getting the win there.
Those were the two best matches.
Totally agree. Those were the two best matches on the card by far. If I had to give a third best, it might be. I was kind of shocked. I thought Josh Alexander, Simon Gotch was pretty good. Ace Austin, ABC, and Chris Young Vets was pretty good. Both were kind of disappointing in different ways.
I can't say I was disappointed by Simon Gotch.
That's fair.
He met my expectations.
TNA World Title No Surrender Rules match. I thought that match stunk.
Yeah,
fully stunk. I went on that match. You'll be shocked to learn. 1.5. 1.5. I hated that match. I was worse on that match than the Knockouts tag team title match. That's how bad I hated this match.
Holy hell. And people, I need you to understand. Ryan was not okay during that match. the Knockouts tag titles, he was not okay. He was questioning Masha Slamovich. And then I was like, no, let me talk you off the bridge here before you say this take. I don't want you to say it live because it's not her fault. It's just your least favorite wrestler in the world.
It's just Masha is just not a tag team wrestler.
No.
That's what I'm getting from here.
And Killer Kelly has
her fame. But yeah, that match stunk, but at least Masha got the win, I guess. And she did a lot more wrestling because I hated their previous match more because it was mostly Killer Kelly, whereas this match was mostly Masha. So it was helped. But the world title No Surrender Rules match sucked. It was literally just like Moose, Alex Shelley doing like, like your basic ass WWE basic ass hardcore wrestling. And then the entire time, this is the exact inverse of how I felt about the RevPro Amira main event with the towel stuff. The entire time, the whole match is focused on Kevin Knight and Kushida and Brian Myers and Eddie Edwards potentially throwing in the towels at the basic ass spots. And then at one point, you have Kevin Knight attacking Eddie Edwards and Brian Myers in defense of somebody. They weren't attacking Alex Shelley at all, but in some reason they went to the defense. And then I sat here thinking, why did you attack them? That's the only way where Moose can lose, by them throwing in the towel. So by attacking them, you've given the Moose no way of losing the match. It doesn't make any sense. The stipulation was incredibly stupid. And it was the worst shit I think I saw all weekend. I think it's totally plausible that that's probably the worst shit I saw all weekend. And I watched New Beginning in Sapporo night 1, baby.
It's definitely not the worst. Show versus El Desperado got a 0.5 stars.
Oh, Jesus. Jesus.
Like, deplorable match. I didn't hate this as much, but I also hated the towel thing.
Yeah.
Love
it took it was like an I Quit match in terms of like nothing matters until like the I Quit stuff is happening, you know?
Yeah.
But instead of focusing still on the wrestlers, now that focuses on 4 guys on the outside. Brian Myers' face of, I'm going to throw in the towel.
They made the right decision not to have this in the main event.
Mm-hmm.
They knew. I'll also give credit to Jordan Grace. I think she's excellent now. In the past year, I think she's gone from pretty good to great.
I think in a weird way, the Royal Rumble gave her a lot more confidence too.
Also true.
Because everyone walked away being like, I think Jordan Grace was the best part of that match.
She was.
Yeah.
Besides the Jade thing.
Yeah. And I think that's, totally commendable for her because she was great in that match. And she was really good. She was up until the main event. I was like, she's easily the best match on the card.
Yeah.
Easily.
Mustafa Ali rocks, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
This was the first like normal match I've seen of his. I saw like a GCW match, and then a fatal 4-way, which was pretty good. But this was the first like true match I saw of his. I thought he did great.
Yeah, I think I agree. This was his best match that I have seen post WWE.
Yeah. The flip off of the top rope to the floor, that was absurd.
Fluid as all hell too.
Yeah, like
no one jumps up to the top rope and then he just jumps around over him into a powerbomb.
No human should be able to do that. But TNA is not great.
No, TNA is not great. Other news from TNA is we found out that Scott D'Amore tried to purchase it for $10 million before he got fired.
Who would say no to that? I'd be like, yeah, here you go.
Well, what's interesting to me is that like
that's a lot of money for TNA.
Does Anthem think, or I guess they know because they know how much it would be worth, that TNA is worth more than that? Is that the idea? Or they just like there's a reason they're keeping them and they didn't sell them for $10 million, right?
How much did they get TNA for?
That's a good question. Anthem
$5.
Impact Wrestling. Let's see if we can find that. They got a majority stake. I don't know if that's at all public, but I'll see if I can find something about that.
$5 and a hot dog?
Undisclosed amount in 2017. So we do not know. But yeah, man, I don't know. I don't know. TNA is in an interesting spot. The next show is Sacrifice, March 8th.
That has a great match on it.
Well, the only match right now that I'm looking at is Eric Young versus Moose. So what are you talking about?
We're getting Nick Nemeth versus Steve Macklin for the IWGP Global Heavyweight title.
You're right. That was the spoiler. And that's probably the main event, by the way.
As it should be.
Sorry, Moose.
In what world do I want to see Moose versus Eric Young in the main event?
That's a great point.
Who's Jordan Grace going to face? Oh, Jordan Grace is facing Tasha Steelz and Xia Brookside.
Fine. All right. The women's division TNA is not as depth heavy as you think it is. Beyond Giselle Shaw, it's like, all right, who else is there? Who else do we got?
I need to make a joke. Who would have thought Xia Brookside would have got a world title match before Mariah May? Crazy world.
And that's TNA to Surrender. I don't really know other thoughts on this show. I didn't really think it dragged at parts.
I kind of wished I didn't watch it.
Yeah, I also kind of wish that I only wanted to talk about it just because I want to see if we get any different ideas in a post Scott D'Amore world. And honestly, the only idea I got is they don't care about Moose.
I don't care about Moose.
Yeah.
Do you care about Moose?
No. I really did not watch the show and see any difference between this and a Scott D'Amore produced show.
No.
Yeah. No. Maybe there were subtleties, but
I think it's awesome that Nick Nemeth wasn't on the first pay-per-view.
since joining the company or whatever.
That's the most wanted man, baby. He instead did butt stuff with Ryusuke Taguchi, and I think that's real.
Other TNA news here, obviously, is that there was a weird exercising of contracts for Josh Alexander. They originally tweeted out something that Josh Alexander re-signs with TNA, but instead they deleted the tweet and changed it to TNA extended exercise their contract option for Josh Alexander, or whatever the tweet was.
Oh, this guy is gone in a year.
Yeah. He was teasing the idea of leaving, and he ended up not leaving, obviously, because of this contract option. He was hoping it wouldn't get picked up.
I look forward to him being in the G1.
Oh, I hope, baby.
I think he's going to be in the G1 because I think we have gotten to the point now where they're going to try to make him happy. And
they should. They should if they're going to want to try to keep him next year.
Yeah.
What's also interesting is that, there are other podcasts that are really talking about the idea of TNA losing money and that this is an option. They had an option to let go Josh Alexander and this idea of they see value in them. I don't really know fully if TNA is losing money or if rather they're just making enough money for Anthem to be happy.
They're certainly not making money.
Yeah, they're not making money and they're not growing, but I don't know for certain if they're losing money. Because why would Anthem skip out on $10 million and stop losing money, and then also re-pick up Josh Alexander, a guy that's certainly probably the most expensive contract on this roster.
Yeah. 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 Makes you think.
It makes you think, I guess. We'll close out our show here. AEW Revolution. Do a little preview here. We'll talk about the show next week, of course. Are we doing the post show conversation podcast episode?
Well, if we don't, we're gonna wait an entire week to. So yeah, that's probably.
So then post Sunday next week, we will do the immediate live reaction to AEW Revolution. We'll stream it on YouTube, I think, as well.
We're gonna try something new.
We're gonna stream it on StreamYard here, so that you can watch it, and it'll be uploaded as well, as a podcast episode as well the next day as well. I keep saying as well. I need to stop. AEW Revolution, Greensboro, North Carolina. I gotta look up the WrestleTix to see how much, but they've sold a crap ton of tickets. Scotty, you have a question?
Yeah, can I give how I feel about the show?
Sure.
Pretty good.
I think this is the best AEW pay-per-view card on paper ever.
Can I give you my thoughts on the show so far? This is more like a vibe check about how I feel about the show.
I know what button you're pressing.
That's just sort of a vibe check on how I'm feeling. Let's go, baby.
Money.
Well, no, that's big business. That's how I feel about
I just needed to get one in. We haven't had one today. I need to get one in.
I'm scrolling through WrestleTix right now. Big business currently sold 6,400 as of 19 hours ago.
That elevated usage was good, by the way.
Ooh, by the way, going back to Elimination Chamber, according to WrestleTix, they sold 48,000 tickets and they announced 52,000. Interesting. AEW Revolution as of February 23rd sold 16,000 tickets. Pretty much a near sellout for their current setup. 16,000
kept changing, by the way.
Yes.
You kept opening and opening.
Which they'll probably open a little bit more too by time next week.
This show is going to be fantastic. This is the most excited I've ever been for an AEW pay-per-view. Ever.
Yeah. I think am I super excited about every single match on the show? No, probably 90%. But do I think every match on the show has a well-booked storyline that I'm into?
Yes.
For the most part, yeah. For the most part, pretty much, yeah.
Meet Mayhem doesn't count. Madness. Meet Madness.
Yeah. Well, if it was Meet Mayhem, then that would be Wardlow's match to win. Mr. Mayhem over here.
Yeah.
Let's go through the card here. Meat Madness is a triple threat: Lance Archer, Powerhouse Hobbs, and Wardlow.
You know what would make this match really good?
More meat,
Less Wardlow.
more Miro. Now we're talking, baby.
Oh my god, I've given up on that guy. Let's just let him go. Let him go.
I like how this is a 4-way. He didn't even have to take the pin. Still didn't show up.
What a joke. I'm happy Lance Archer's getting a spot. I like Lance Archer.
Yeah.
This should be fun. I would put it on the pre-show.
Yeah, I could. I don't know if they're going to put on a pre-show because I think the idea here is Wardlow pinning Lance Archer so that we can set up him challenging Samoa Joe officially.
Wardlow's not good.
You saying that about Mr. Well, he had a great promo. He's got promo skills apparently, but I get what you're meaning. Powerhouse Hobbs is good. Lance Archer is great.
Powerhouse Hobbs is very good. Lance Archer is very, very good.
Half of this match, 2/3 of this match is really good.
I mean, if they just run into each other, the match can't be bad.
That's fair. And that's what I'm expecting from Meat Madness, to be fair. Tag team match. Cash Wheeler and Dax Harwood versus Claudio Castagnoli and Jon Moxley.
Man, this is an embarrassment of riches for this show.
And we're on the second match.
They were just like, yeah, let's do this again.
Yeah. They did obviously a time limit draw on this past Dynamite. And it's interesting to me that right now it's just a tag team match with presumably another time limit to it.
Didn't they talk about it being a street fight?
I thought they did too. But there's no stipulation according to Cage Match here listed.
Maybe they'll do it after the Dynamite Trios match. They'll agree.
That would be my speculation.
Which looks great.
Yeah.
By the way.
That's my speculation, is that some sort of stipulation be added. It's a stipulation-less show here, other than the main event, I guess.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This is probably the seventh most, eighth or seventh most highly anticipated match for me on the card.
Yeah.
Which is insane.
Yeah. Pretty good match. AEW TNT title match. Christian Cage defends against Daniel Garcia.
Give me the damn mic.
Give me the mic. Give me the mic.
AEW, listen to me right now. You messed up 2 years ago. You screwed up. 2022 should have been Daniel Garcia's moment. He was incredible. And then you just did nothing with him. You let Chris Jericho continue booking him. And how'd that go? Bad. So bad, he disappeared in 2023. I don't have this anymore. No. He is red hot. Isn't his nickname Red Death?
Yes.
His Red Death is red hot. Again, do not mess this up. Have him beat Christian Cage. Adam Copeland and Christian Cage can last without the title. Daniel Garcia needs to win. I rest my case.
Go fuck yourself.
I don't mess this up, please.
Yeah. There's the whole Adam Copeland of it all, which is interesting. Obviously, they written him off, but that aspect of him and Christian is very interesting. I agree. I love for them to put the title on Daniel Garcia, because then you can have a situation where Copeland and Christian are chasing Garcia, and I think that's a really fun spot for them to be in and for Garcia to be in. Do I see it happening? Am I fully convinced that Garcia is winning the title? I don't know, but I will say a thing that helps him is that I think Christian Cage is still very good, but I don't think he is as hot as he once was.
No, that's what happens when you have to make me watch the Waynes.
And I think that putting it on Daniel Garcia could mess things up and give Christian Cage something new that could spice him up and make him a little hotter again.
Man, I need him to win.
Mm-hmm.
This could be my favorite part of the entire show if he won.
I agree.
He's that good right now.
I agree.
Danny G, baby. Let's go.
Danny G. Singles match. not much we can talk about here. Will Ospreay versus Takeshita. I mean,
If it's not the match of the night, it's because Sting's retirement match was incredible.
yeah. Or even the world title match. It's potential.
Or the world title match. Yeah.
don't know.
Or Eddie and Bryan Danielson. Never mind. I don't know why I did that. I acted like that.
You forgot what this card was?
I keep forgetting Eddie and Dave. This is happening. I don't know. If it's not the match of the night, it's because everything else is great. Like, I don't know what you want to say. Ospreay's official, like, it's not his debut, but it is. It's
emergence.
It's his AEW as a member in-ring debut. You know, like, he is now a roster member. He's fighting Konosuke Takeshita, who rocks.
Don Callis family members explode?
Don Callis, keep your ass away from the ring.
He's going to be there.
Keep him on commentary.
He will. He will probably be.
That's fine. That's fine. Just let these two do what they do. You know, let's let them wrestle. Because if you let them wrestle, it's going to be phenomenal.
Yeah, I think it will. I think
give him 20 minutes and don't look back.
It's Will Ospreay, right?
And it's How
many times have we said in the past couple years that Will Ospreay wrestling any bad wrestler still elevates it to at minimum a 4 stars match?
I just talked about that like 20 minutes ago.
How dare you?
You set it up. I had to do it. But he's not wrestling a bad wrestler here. That's the fun part. He's wrestling Konosuke Takeshita, who I argue is one of the best in the world. Man, this should be great.
AEW Continental title match: Eddie Kingston versus Bryan Danielson.
Man,
set up really well. I've loved this feud of like a matter of respect. I think Eddie added a stipulation. I don't remember if Bryan accepted, but probably of like, if I win, you have to shake my hand. This whole thing of respect that Bryan doesn't respect Eddie Kingston, that they like Eddie Kingston's leaving for a match. Bryan just comes out and just ignores him. Oh, Brian Keith versus Eddie Kingston. Eddie Kingston gets the win, but Brian Keith is signed. Danielson comes out and just kind of takes the shine away from everybody, but raises Keith's hand, ignoring Eddie Kingston completely. And then last night, of course, you had Jun Akiyama, Eddie Kingston's hero, battling Bryan Danielson. And spoilers, I guess, post matches, Bryan Danielson kicks him in the balls, and Eddie Kingston attacks Bryan Danielson. And then on top of that, you have Bryan Danielson fighting through all of these sort of legends, these like Triple Crown or like, you know, guys. Obviously, there's Zack Sabre Jr., but also you had Jun Akiyama, Yuji Nagata. He's fighting through these sort of Triple Crown guys of the past to face Eddie Kingston, the current modern day Triple Crown holder. It's right there, folks. Google it.
Sick. If they brought Kento Miyahara in, I would have lost my mind.
Should have brought Kojima in. That would have been good. He would have been.
That would have made sense.
Yeah.
That would have made a lot of sense. Ooh, that would have been really good. He's the MLW world champion though, so
the MLW. He's not going to job out for nobody. He's MLW strong, baby.
No. This match, oh my god, it's gonna be so good. They don't miss. Like, these two don't miss. That's the thing. They are 3 for 3 so far.
Pretty much.
Yeah. So, and this is now their biggest match they've had together. It's going to be fantastic. Eddie's been on fire since the classic. Danielson's Danielson. It's so good. I think Eddie should win, because it is about the respect part. But I also would never be upset if Danielson got a title run. So,
do you think I would love to? I'm just looking through like old Triple Crown champions. Obviously, I see there's Kojima. There he is.
Kojima.
Who would have loved for them to bring in for an AEW Collision match against Danielson? Go Shiozaki? Ooh. Suwama? Jake Lee? Oh, rather, never mind.
Never mind.
Yeah, no, this match is great. Eddie Kingston and Bryan Danielson are like two of the best wrestlers right now in AEW, and they're on top of the world right now. And Bryan Danielson is one of the best wrestlers in AEW. Eddie Kingston's in his best period of wrestling ever.
This is probably the closest I've ever been to being a freakazoid.
Yeah, baby.
Is this show.
Yeah.
Like the build to this show has been spectacular. That's probably what, like, not only are these matches great on paper, they've all been built.
Yes. And they've announced stuff for weeks in advance. So
that never happens.
They never happen. Everything about this has been built so well and so properly over the course of like the past 2-3 months, maybe longer.
Do you see what happens when we get rid of MJF?
The least built match on this card, well, is probably Meat Madness, but also
besides that,
Takeshita Ospreay, is probably least built.
Wow, that's tough.
It's probably Takeshita and Ospreay because they have never like been in a ring. It was just like, hey, we announced this thing.
They were like, we're just going to do this because we can.
Yeah, Wardlow and Hobbs have obviously been having.
This was
matches.
the ultimate Tony Khan be like, I have Will Ospreay now.
Yeah, who cares? Damn, Eddie Kingston, Danielson, good stuff.
You think Will Ospreay is Tony Khan's favorite wrestler? I do.
Right now, probably.
Yes, and I think like watching him at that RevPro show, like start nearly crying for the guy, was very funny. He's like, "You're mine now, buddy."
Just thinking to himself, "God damn."
I won.
AEW Women's World Title match: Toni Storm versus Deonna Purrazzo. And now I'm not fully into this match because mostly the Toni Storm timeless gimmick. But again, I think this match has been well built. We established the connection between these two wrestlers via a tattoo on both of the legs. Toni Storm altered said tattoo. They faced each other. They had a little bit of that disrespect, Bryan Danielson, Eddie Kingston entrance interruption stuff. They looked at each other while one screen was in color, one screen was in black and white. So that's part of it. This match, I'm not fully into it as opposed to the other ones, mostly because of timeless Toni Storm, but it has been well built, and I will give it that.
Tell me when I'm telling lies.
Is that about me, or is that what I'm saying?
No, you were right.
Yeah.
You were absolutely right.
I'm not going to, like, there's so often we get pay-per-view matches where it's just like, and these two are wrestling. Yeah. And it's a title match. Here it's like, it's been properly built. So
they put proper build. I think Deonna's been very good since she's come over. But ultimately, all that matters about this match is
money.
You're just holding the belt. And listen. The bar is about to be raised. They're weeks away from the bar being raised.
Sheamus is coming in?
I saw someone pitch when Danielson retires, they should have Sheamus join the BCC to replace him. I was like, that is incredible.
Fine by me.
Oh man. The bar, that would save tag team wrestling. Anyways, I'm lost. Oh, so these two have told a good story, and I think if we can just like forget the character work, they can have a good match. I know they can have a good match. Good, like, you know, I'm not the biggest Toni Storm fan, but I know when she's normal, she can have a good match.
Yeah,
and I know Deonna can because I've seen her do it.
Yeah,
we praised her and Jordan big time last year.
Yeah,
they were great. And I think they can have that type of match. I'm not sure if they will, because again, I'm not sure what Toni we're getting.
Yeah.
But she's at least gotten closer and closer to her actual wrestling form.
Yep.
Rather than the original. So I'm hopeful. But in the end, it's all about Mercedes Moné. You're just holding the belt for her. Bye-bye. See you later. Goodbye. Tony's gonna win because Toni versus Mercedes is the bigger match. But I hope it over delivers because my expectations are very low because of the Toni stuff.
I agree. There is an aspect, and part of my hope here as well is that there's an aspect of the match of Deonna potentially pulling out the old Toni Storm out of the timeless gimmick because of like our history and friendship, and this is not who you are. This is not how I know you. So for the match to be good, Tony needs to become the Tony Storm of old, not the timeless one. So that's kind of what I'm putting onto the match, and what I think is certainly plausible. That's the hope for me for this match.
They should have Tony be Mariah May.
Yeah.
I would just like if Mariah May and Deanna were doing it, because I think Mariah's been great.
Yeah.
But I have good, like, my expectations are low, but I have hope. That makes sense.
Yeah. I'm surprised they didn't do like a Deanna versus Mariah May match here yet. Like,
yeah, I guess I don't want Mariah to lose, but
which is
I would have done that. I think it would have been a good curveball to all this.
Yeah. AEW International title match, Orange Cassidy versus Roderick Strong. I don't necessarily, I think, in terms of like built stories, I think this might be the weakest built, just because the Kingdom's
first match announced for the show.
I know. I think it's because it was the first match announced, but also the Kingdom stuff has gotten so
bad.
I don't necessarily want to say bad per se, but just
I fast forward through it all.
Yeah, there's just nothing to it. It's just kind of boring about everything. And Orange Cassidy has either been putting in great work against guys like Matt Taven, or putting in fine whatever work against guys like Mike Bennett in a weird way. So I'm not fully interested in this match, but it's also Roddy Strong, and if this guy's coming to play, baby, then I'm into it.
I think he's coming to play. That's the thing. I think he's coming to play.
He's got to come to play, and I think he's got to win too.
He has to win. He has to win. One, because I'm so tired of Orange Cassidy. Two, Roddy needs it, and I would argue the Undisputed Kingdom needs it.
Mm-hmm.
Like they need a champion, and I think from the things I've seen from Roddy since like getting rid of the neck brace and all that garbage, he's been good.
Yeah.
They haven't put him in a premier match. This is the premier match. What does Roddy bring to the table? I know Roddy's still great. Him and Chris Jericho had the most random great match last year on Dynamite.
Mm-hmm.
So while the build hasn't been good, the match should be. And it needs to end with Roddy winning. Now,
I will say, it could be saved for big business, but if you are signing Okada, this is the spot where probably Okada could show up, saving Chaos faction member. He's got no one else on his side. Roddy wins and the Kingdom beats him down. Who makes the save? Kazuchika Okada.
That would be such a deflating way to debut.
I pitched this before. If Okada goes to AEW, I fully see a reality where Okada and Orange Cassidy are like tag team champions.
I expect him to be a trios champion by the end of the year, so you're not crazy.
Yeah. An interesting one here. AEW World Title match, the 3-way, maybe. Samoa Joe defending against Adam Page and Swerve Strickland. So as of right now, the match is the 3-way. But this past Dynamite, we saw Adam Page have an injury. Turns out that supposedly that's a fake injury that was part of the story. I think the idea here is that, either he didn't want to take the pin from Samoa Joe, so he faked an injury and yada, yada, yada. Or apparently there might also be something personal happening in Adam Page's life that he all of a sudden can't go to the pay-per-view. Don't know what that is. Something super personal that people don't want to discuss. We're not going to speculate here, but obviously it's something that has come up very sudden that he feels the need to potentially pull from this match. So whatever it is, it's important to him.
Yeah.
So this match is either going to be a 3-way if Page is still in, or somehow this week we're going to write Page out of the match and it's going to be Swerve versus Samoa Joe.
Yep. It's the toughest match to call because I'm going to approach this as if it's still a 3-way. I think that's fair.
I think that's fair.
That is like the perfect way to keep Swerve from winning this belt. Right? Because Hangman and him can cost each other the match. Samoa Joe swoops in and wins. If it's Samoa Joe versus Swerve, I don't know how you have Swerve lose straight up. I just don't. Like he's so over. People want to see him as champion. Are
It's
they going
almost
to?
like if Swerve and Samoa Joe is just the match, then Swerve should win.
Yeah.
And just
Yeah.
write off whatever story that you're going to have for the next
Yeah.
several months and just have Swerve win and start that.
Yeah, because I don't want Samoa Joe to lose, but I don't want Swerve to lose clean.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Mhm.
They're in a great spot where they have two people that should be world champion, right? Like that's a good thing, but it's also a bad thing. And I don't know how they're going to work their way around. The match is going to be phenomenal.
I could also make the argument that Paige could be world champion too. He's been doing great stuff.
Absolutely. If Hangman left this show as world champion, I wouldn't question it at all. It would almost be the most interesting spot to go because of like where you go from there story wise. Man, it's gonna be a great match. No matter if it's the singles or three-way, it's gonna be a great match.
Yeah, I fully agree. This should be a great match. Adam Page, if he's in it, the whole idea I think is that Swerve does something that ends up potentially winning the match here, but Adam Page stops him from winning it. Samoa Joe, I think, is retaining because, like I said, I think it's going to be Wardlow versus Samoa Joe on TV. Maybe big business. Samoa Joe versus Wardlow.
Oof, but boof.
So good luck seeing that live.
I haven't got tickets yet.
If Paige is not in it, all of this is still going to be very good matches. It's just, I don't know. It's very apparent also in Swerve's booking that Tony Khan doesn't want him to lose.
Yeah.
We saw that with the Continental Classic going into a three-way where it would have made more sense to just be singles. He obviously doesn't want Swerve to lose because he's building momentum, but he doesn't want him to have the title yet. So if Paige's not in, that's what I mean. Like, there's an argument to have of just like, let's just shelve everything and just do Swerve.
Yeah. Yeah, it's tough. It's tough, but that's the excitement of the match itself. Yeah.
It ultimately, we can't properly preview because we don't know what's happening with Paige. It could be anything. He's either in it or not. No one knows right now. We'll find out on Wednesday. Main event, AEW World Tag Team Title match in a tornado match.
It better be the main event.
Darby Allin and Sting defending their titles against Matthew and Nicholas Jackson, the Young Bucks, in the main event in front of 16,000 strong. Probably a bunch of walk-ups too, maybe 17,000 if they can stretch it. What are your thoughts on the main event of this AEW Revolution pay-per-view? This is like basically the first not the first match announced, but Sting's last match, his retirement match, going in as champion. Does he go out as champion? Okada style?
No. I'll just start there. No. I think everything about this match, the build, the anticipation, and the ultimate execution is going to be perfect. Like, you couldn't have a better, unless you're Keiji Muto, you couldn't have a better retirement story for someone. Like, Tony Khan and AEW have done everything in their power to make this perfect, right? They've Greensboro, sold out arena, long time building of this is going to be his last match. Like, we are telling you right now, this is it. And making him a champion, and that incredible promo this week. Like, the Sting promo this week was so real, and obviously because there's real life events in it, but it was just so good. And on the other side of the ring are these absolute dickheads that you want to see Sting beat their ass one more time. Right?
And also not just the dickheads, but potentially, I think from this past Dynamite, potentially Ric Flair as well.
Yeah, I don't like that, but I can ignore that.
It's a nice little aspect to it. I think.
Yeah. If I look at it just wrestling, yes, I agree.
Yeah.
It's perfect. It needs to main event. Nothing's gonna be able to follow this. That's my. You can't have anything follow retirement like this. This is one of the most legendary professional wrestlers ever retiring. This isn't right. This isn't just like anyone. This is Sting. Sting's done after this.
1985. He's been wrestling for 38 years.
38 years. He was essentially forced to retire at one point. He got to come back, have this great run, and now this is it.
Want to know how good this AEW run has been? A constant thing that Dave Meltzer, the Wrestling Observer, had about the Hall of Fame was that Sting got into the Hall of Fame like the weakest case. That was always the argument, that his case, like, he was like always a good wrestler, but he never was like a big kind of draw or anything like that. He doesn't use that comparison anymore, Sting. He's like, since the AEW case has really bolstered his Hall of Fame career, it's like, oh no, he's fine. He's great. He's always great.
Sting was
He's
always
been
a Hall
great.
of Famer in my opinion, but I get where he was going from now. Now it's undeniable. And now he's selling out one big venue.
And Dave says, like, it's undeniable now that like his this last leg of his career of AEW has like made it like, oh yeah, undoubtedly, of course, he's so great. He's been so good at 60 plus years old. It's insane to watch.
I think the emotion of the retirement and it ending and everything that goes into that is going to make this such a great match. Like, I will be shocked if this isn't the tag team match of the year when it's over.
I think that's certainly plausible.
Like the wrestling almost doesn't matter. It's the story.
Mm-hmm.
Sting's last stand. Sting these two guys beat up his children. Beat him up. Like, it is
bloodied to a pulp.
It's just so good. And I know some people were debating tornado tag versus regular tag because like, oh, the hot tag for Sting, like that would have been incredible. Sting has not missed on a tornado tag match. Like, this is his bag, and you may not get the hot tag, but you're going to get the hot comeback of Sting one more time. Last time ever. That's going to do it. That's everything. Yes. And oh my God, it's going to be so good. I'm so excited thinking about this match.
How does Sting lose? Is Ric Flair involved? The Young Bucks just put him out with the EVP trigger. Does he take a Tony Khan driver or whatever? Or does Darby do some sort of swerve?
I could see there be this great moment in this match where Darby essentially gives himself up to save Sting, and they just destroy Darby, right?
Yeah.
And then they're like, nah, that's not enough. And then they go after Sting, and then Sting probably loses from an EVP trigger.
Because part of the whole concept of the Young Bucks is they don't like these like old legends being in the locker room. Sting has to go out on his back here.
Yeah, he's going out on his back. That's the reason he's undefeated.
Yeah,
he's going out on his back. Pinning Darby would not get the point across.
And where's all the hate right now of Sting's not putting over the next young generation of talent and losing to already made guys? What are we doing here? Where's all the hubbub right now?
He's Sting. There you go.
He's Sting. He's also not young enough to like wrestle a bunch of young guys, probably.
No.
Yeah, I think ultimately it's just he's going out on his back. I think it's sort of that like Steel Cage Osprey like Akira moment where it's like Darby is not going to stop, but Sting's going to be like, it's fine, it's okay, and then he goes out. It's
you said it's okay, like when never mind. I'm thinking of Endgame when Natasha's like, it's okay to Hawkeye, and oh man, that's rough.
To me, the end of this match is Sting telling Darby that it's all right. I'm done. I finished, and then he loses, and Darby sort of allows it that way because that's Sting going out on his terms properly.
Yeah, it's gonna be special. It's gonna deliver. It's gonna be this whole show, man. They knew this was a big house. They knew this was a show they needed to go all in on, and no pun intended, they did.
I agree. AEW Revolution next Sunday. March, whatever it is, March 3rd, 2nd, 3rd, I think.
Third.
March 3rd in North Carolina, 16,000, maybe 17,000. That'd be impressive. Should be a great show. We'll get into it. And obviously, post-match, we'll do a live instant reaction to AEW Revolution, streamed on YouTube. So if you want to check that out, make sure you subscribe. If you want to watch it live with us, make sure you subscribe to youtube.com/@countout. That is where you'll find us on YouTube. That's if you're watching us now, then you're already there. Subscribe, hit the button, hit the bell, whatever the hell.
Hit the bell.
Right.
Ring the
bell. I think that's it. I think everything on the board here. I've been going basically for 3 hours, so you're welcome, folks. But I think it was a really great show. I think we had a lot of different conversations because this show is more about like the weirdly state of wrestling right now in so many of these companies than anything else. So let's close up shop here, talking about our matches of the week. I'll kick it off here. There's so much wrestling we watched and talk about, but I'm going to mention Fantastic Mania Night 6 from last week I watched this week. Rocky Romero versus Volador Jr. and was a 4-star match for my book. I thought it was a great match between Rocky and Volador. I'll be honest, I don't remember anything from it because I watched, 30, 40 matches since then. But I do know that it was a great match, and Rocky Romero and Volador Jr. Have done it again and just become great wrestlers, And also, that was the match where Volador Jr. after the match indentured servitude his son to the Japan dojo for New Japan. So good stuff there as well. What was your match of the week, Scotty?
I'm gonna go old because I think we talked about everything I watched this week, and nothing really jumped out, anyways. I watched Mayu Iwatani versus Kagetsu from 2018. I knew that was great. I rewatched it, so it wasn't even that big of a deal. But it's a fantastic match. It's post Io Shirai leaving, so it's like a very important match for Stardom to like reestablish where they're going moving forward. Fantastic title match. So that's probably mine because, like I said, not a great week outside of CMLL, but that was Monday. Was that Monday? Wait a minute. Hold on. Was Fantastic Mania on Monday?
Sunday and Monday, yeah.
Oh, shit. Oh, all right. I'm going to give you 2 because I do have a current match. I'm sorry. Mascot Dorado versus Stuka Jr. I thought that was fantastic. Love that match.
Main event of the whole tour.
Oh, I thought it was so good. So good. Dorado's the man. Stuka Jr. was great. Yeah, that's probably the one then.
I haven't gotten to night 7 yet, but I'm excited too. I was just inundated with wrestling, which is always a good thing. But Jesus Christ, there was so much, massive weekend, and of course, next week is another big one.
We'll talk about next week. It's gonna be awesome.
Yeah, next week I don't even know what we're going to be doing next week. Next week we're not talking about AEW Revolution. I'll talk about whatever happened with Hard Times or whatever I watched about. Previewing anniversary, 52nd anniversary. Previewing the Cup, New Japan Cup will probably be announced. Those brackets probably be announced this week.
There we go.
So we'll talk about that. Previewing Stardom Cinderella Tournament. Maybe those
that
brackets
should be out this week. Yeah.
And Teenage Sacrifice, whatever happens of that too, I guess we'll preview. A lot more previews, I guess, basically next week.
That's cool with me.
Sorry we didn't get to a lot of questions this week. We had a 3-hour show for a show that's normally 2, so we had a lot of stuff to get to. So I think we would have gotten more in depth on more things, but I did my best to keep us moving, and I went an hour over. So it is what it is, folks. So I apologize. We'll probably be better about that. Hopefully, be better about that next week. But we had a billion things to talk about. So what do you want me to do? I don't know. I want to give more. I don't want to give pithy thoughts to big topics.
If you have more questions, always come back next week. I'll be happy.
Yeah. If you leave questions, come back next week or leave them in the YouTube chat for sure because they will be saved there. YouTube comments because it'll be saved there.
Hold on to them.
So yeah, that's it for this week's episode of Ring Post Radio. I've been Ryan. You can follow me on Twitter at Ryan Nicey. Scotty has been at Scott E Wrestling on Twitter. Follow the whole network at Count Out Pod. Okada Shorts put out a new podcast. Okada Shorts, by the way, rebranding as the Ichiban Sweetcast. That we're doing a sort of soft rebrand launch for them, the Ichiban Sweetcast. So check out their kind of first kind of episode of under that title. where they talk about the main event, the War Dogs Chamber match. And we have Your Dose of Death. We have Stardom Road, I believe, is putting out an episode this Tuesday. I believe, Scotty.
Yes, we will have episode 3 of the DDM series out.
The finale, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, the finale of the series, and then we have no idea after because Trent's currently in Japan. So,
oh God, what is he doing over there? Watching wrestling or something?
Yes, that's exactly what he's doing. He's having a good time, but I gotta go. We'll come up with something. But yeah, episode 3 out on Tuesday. Check it out.
Check that out when it drops on your podcast feed. Of course, you can subscribe to the Stardom Road or any of their individual feeds or the Count Out Wrestling Podcast Network podcast feed to get all the shows. I've been Ryan. That's been Scotty. I guess we'll be back. Not I guess. We will be back next week for an all-new episode of Ring Post Radio. So until then, goodbye, everybody.